took me some time to get to the place that you wanted me to be. I know it was never you. I just needed to work on me. But now I'm ready. I'm ready to love.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. Yes, it is a happy new year. For some people, it is 12 o'clock here officially. For some of you, it's going to be 12 o'clock very, very soon. I know you're going to be hitting the streets and going out to maybe church or whatever you go. Listen, safe journey wherever you're going tonight. Some of us are old and we are going to be staying indoors. We ain't going nowhere. Okay, so we're going to stay indoors. Okay, and if you are staying indoors with us over here, I want to say, listen, again, happy new year. We'll be going into 2024 with new blessings, okay, going forward. But tonight we are talking to you guys about Ready to Love. It was another episode that was crazy on Make a Move, with Ashley, Charisse, Zadia, and also, why do I forget the person name? Venetia as well, all right? So we're going to break it down for you guys, have a good time before you guys go out to wherever you're going to. But I'm not going to do it alone. As always, I'm going to do it with Jay and Sean, and we're going to have one of those epic conversations once again. If you watched Saturday's episode, where we spoke about it. It was a great conversation. We had Aries on board as well, and it was a great dialogue in terms of our different perspectives on what we witnessed on the show. So, if you're new to the channel, do me a massive favor, like it, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for the notifications of the uploads. We're still on our journey to 100K. You guys have been crazy enough to help us along this journey. We're now at 80K. God bless y'all. I thought I would never make it. Never would have made it without y'all. That's probably blasphemy because it's not y'all, it's God. But anyway, the Lord knows my heart. Okay, so we gonna have a great show tonight concerning Ready to Love. Okay, listen, Jay, Sean, this episode was an interesting one because we had Ashley, Zadia, Charisse, and Vern make a decision on their collective people about whether they were gonna go to Nola or not. I want to get your perspective on this episode. What your thoughts were concerning this latest episode. Jay, what was your thoughts on this episode? Love on the hair, by the way.
Thank you. I was like, yay, finally we ready to move on. That's where we at, ready to move on right now. Like, hey, for the most part, I feel like Charisse made a good decision. I feel like despite how people may feel about Vern made a good decision. And Zadia's still not reading the room. And neither is Ashley. But in Ashley's case, Don actually does want to continue on with whatever it is they got going on, opposed to Cam, who's told us several times, let's just go slow. I don't know how slow he's trying to go, but he's trying to go slower than whatever she got going on, okay? I don't know if it's at a pause, a stop, a complete halt, or rewind, but whatever the case may be, he didn't want what she was putting down, so here we are. And we'll see how that goes next week.
Go for it, Sean. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, I think it's no surprises. It's no surprises in terms of what we saw. I've been rooting for Charisse and Maurice, so the two Reeses are together. So I'm liking it. I think I'm rooting for them. Let's see what happens there. Ashley and Don. I'm just not sure. I don't know why, but listen, we're here, so let's see. Zadia, poor Tink Tink. Poor Tink Tink. I just want so much for her to just understand what he's trying to say, but I'm wishing her, I'm rooting for her too. And Vern, Listen, Vern cussed us out on IG, so I ain't gonna really say much. I'm gonna take it easy on Vern because I don't want to get cussed. She told us to, use our brains and think. So I'm gonna just leave Vern alone, and I think she made the right choice.
I don't even, actually, I haven't watched the whole. I got sent the live actually about Vern. I don't know if any of you guys watched it. Did you watch it, Jay or Sean? Did you watch it at all? Did you watch it, Sean?
I saw it.
What was your
Yeah, I saw it.
sentiments? What was your sentiments on what she spoke about and what you picked up from? Because it was an hour long, so I don't know what you picked up from it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this first. I think she was, just airing some things out because it seems like she's getting a lot of backlash in her comments. I think people are attacking her, which I think is wrong. I don't think she was so much upset about people who have opinions about the show, but just personally attacking her. So I think she was right in, addressing those things or, dealing with it however she felt necessary. Now, some of the other things, I mean, the usual, the production, we don't see everything. She's been complaining about communication all along. Some of that stuff. I mean, look, what we saw what we saw. And I think the biggest thing is that she didn't really address the fact that it just came off that she didn't really like him. And I think that's what some people were saying. That's what we've been picking up on is that she doesn't seem to really like him. So it was like she's nitpicking. That's how it came off to us. And I don't think she addressed that. She didn't really talk about, anything that, hey, listen, this is what I learned along the way. She just defend. I know they were attacking her about her dress and her style of dress. I'm not even gonna bother with it because, I think she's just not willing to hear some of the feedback. So that's kind of what I took away.
I hear that. Well, actually, as well, I'll quickly share, obviously, because Instagram. She did post on the page Ready to Loves. So I don't know if you guys wanted to have a look at that. I'll show you what she said, which was a quick. If I can get this thing to move, there we go. So I'll show you guys what she said. Here we go. I'll make it bigger. So she actually commented underneath the Ready to Loves 5's page. So let's and Tabari also responded as well. So just to give a bit of a collective here. So she said, hold on, let me get this in the right position so you guys can see it. Here we go. There we go. She's like, you're so right. Ready to Loves 5. Tabari is a good dude, but I don't feel like he wanted a relationship with me because when you want something, you do better to fix the things needed to make it work. When you don't hear from a person all day except showing up for filming, that is a problem. And yes, I was reaching out first, but I'm only going to do it for so long. I'm grateful for the experience, but I always choose me. He went on to say, crazy. Hold on. He went on to say, this is vastly inaccurate. It was me being able to read the room that allowed me to stay as long as I did. Verna's a good woman. She deserves to go after what she wants, the way she chooses to do so. Contrary to what was being said about me, I'm a great communicator. I have a track record to prove it. I'm in the communication business, but we're not going to act like I was a no-show all day guy when that is vastly not the case. I hope my experience showed that I was committed in making the effort, the compromise, and the focus needed in order to grow a possible connection. I'm fine with not being kept. Not everyone is for everybody, but a real casualty is there. Couldn't even be a friendship after my time and effort on the show. Interesting. That's a very interesting situation right there. Interesting situation. I did reach out to Tabari and said I will interview. So he said he'll agree to one as well. So we'll get that going next week. But just reading that, Sean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate because I think he kind of peeped it too. He peeped it that she wasn't completely feeling him. And I think he tried a little bit, but he's like, listen, I'm not just going to be throwing all this attention on you. And the energy isn't being reciprocated. So that's kind of what I got from him. And he was like, you know, don't paint me in a corner and try to say like, oh, I'm not communicating or I'm just showing up here for a check. Because that's kind of the picture she did paint. Is like he was just here for filming and not really here for her. You know, and I thought that, you know, that's not, you know, that's not so cool
Entirely
to
true.
do that. Yeah.
Okay, I hear that. Jay, I don't know if your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's along the lines of Sean and the same thing. It's just like, if we're gonna tell the story, let's just tell the truth and stop trying to make me be the bad guy. Because you started off saying, no, he's a good dude, but then you proceed to tell him how he's not. Instead of saying, hey, you know, he's a good dude, but for me, the timing is just not right. Or for me, he's just not completely what I'm looking for, or something like that. Coach, are you okay? You over here?
Bro, you all right?
You all right?
You about to?
It's so
You
funny.
don't wanna lose me, bro.
No,
Pause
it's so
one
funny. I
more.
just sent the meme to my daughter talking about
Sorry,
choking on my own spit.
What went into the wrong hole? Continue, Jay. Continue.
I'm trying, but I can't.
Jay, you talk. I'm a, you know, I'm
Mute him, please. I don't need
check
to
on him in
talking in the
Ghana.
background. But no, it's just it's one of those things. Just like, tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? Tell your truth. Don't put me down in the middle of telling the truth or whatever. And that's the thing. I think that's what people read into what's wrong with Vern, is because everybody else is a problem, instead of her looking at herself as part of the problem. You know what I'm saying? It's just, if I don't like something, as somebody, I don't have to be like, oh, that person, you know, I don't like the way that they walk, or I don't like the way they smell, or they don't talk to me enough or stuff. It's like, hey, it wasn't enough effort being shown. I could have probably did more myself too, but obviously neither one of us really want it or whatever. But she wants to put it on him like he don't want her because he's not chasing. You just want somebody chase. You can even say that. Hey, I'm used to people chasing me. So when they don't chase me, I feel like they don't want me. He didn't put in that effort to chase me. So I thought he didn't want me. And so I just feel like that's why she gets a lot of backlash that she does, because in some regards, there's no accountability on her end for anything. And, you know, I'm glad he get his opportunity to set the record straight for himself. Like, don't try to make me out to be some type of person that doesn't know how to talk to people or whatever and stuff like that. And then there's that other side that could be true. He don't fancy her maybe as enough to put as much time as he may have with other people. You know what I'm saying? So there's also that. But like he said, he reads the room too. So he probably felt her energy and was like, well, you are not really into me. So why am I put all my effort into you? So she made the right decision.
I hear that. No, I hear that. Glenn, you know, we're talking obviously about, we're not talking necessarily about Vernon and Tabari as such, but because obviously she put up a video on Instagram, and then there was a post on Ready to Love 5s as well, which I don't know if you've seen. They both made some comments about their situation. She said obviously he's a great guy, but, you know, communication was an issue. He said, hey, you know, I know how to read a room. I'm a great communicator, you know, almost in a sense of, you know, rebuttaling her point of view in a sense. I want to kind of get your just immediate thoughts on that situation at hand between the two disputed kind of, I guess, thoughts.
I thought he communicated well. Now, from what we saw on camera, I think off the camera was the biggest issue. You know, the phone calls, the text messages, the little other things that the nuances that she wanted, right? The things that she wanted him to do to kind of pursue her doing when they're not on camera. On camera, I think he did what he needed to do. He was a nervous laughing, right? Nervous joking. Everything was a joke. I think he wasn't serious enough for her. I don't think he fits into her lifestyle per se. And I think that's why she was willing to let him go. He was fun to be around. I think Vern knew she wasn't going to stay in New Orleans with anybody anyway, because everything's back in Houston. I mean, you got a woman who her children are in Houston, her businesses are in Houston, her lifestyle's in Houston, her church is in Houston. You have to be a special type of dude to be able to maneuver and leave that, right? Get her to leave that. And he wasn't that guy. He wasn't that guy. I think he tried. He did his best. But she had her mind made up a long time ago. That's why she was taking offers from what's his name, Muzel. That's why she was willing to have conversation with him and willing to give her his number. So she knew that Tabari wasn't the guy, and I think he tried to throw the monkey wrench in. I think he played some games a little bit by introducing her to his mother and the family, trying to get her over that way. It just didn't work out. And I don't think, both of them are correct. It wasn't going to work either way. Even if she would have chose him, it wasn't going to work because he's too busy. She wants somebody who can meet her level. If he's in Mississippi and Louisiana all the time, he's not willing to give that up to move to Houston. Who is? That's his livelihood. And she's not giving up her livelihood. So she needs to find somebody in Houston.
Man, I definitely hear that. Definitely hear that. Question then to ask is, should there be a friendship? I mean, is anybody entitled to a friendship being maintained after a situation like this? Because, as Tabari said, he wanted there was not even a friendship that was able to be maintained after this. The question is, should there be a friendship maintained after this? Maybe the question should be, could there be a friendship maintained after this? Does it mean anything that they couldn't keep a friendship after this as well? I guess I'm asking 3 questions essentially in one to you guys, like in this scenario, because as he said, there was no friendship maintained after it, and it's like they're pretty much done. I want to get your thoughts on this aspect. What do you guys think? Do you think would be a friendship? Yes, Jay?
I feel like, it's not something that's necessarily that has to happen. However, being that this is such a short-lived experience, we should be able to end this experience on good terms, that if anything, a friendship could develop from it. But if you're ending this where you're telling me about myself and how I am making me feel this small of a person or less than or anything like that, it's kind of hard to have a friendship after that. It's kind of like you're breaking up with somebody that you were once friends with, and they're just telling you all the nastiness about you, nothing good. It's like, so why should we even be friends? And I think that's just where we're at in this situation of where he's kind of like saying, we can't even have a friendship because, you just feel so this way about me. All the stuff that you said at the end of letting me go, even to the point where I see the parts where it's just like, I just want him to leave. He just needed to follow me out, and he didn't even do that or whatever. It's like, you're so rude. Why would I want to be a friend with you? We didn't go through none of the negative stuff a relationship brings and all this stuff. And at the end, we should be able to at least be cordial with each other. We should be able to walk past each other and say hi and be in the same room and smile or whatever. We don't have to be the best of friends, but we should be able to have a bridge to build later on if we need that connection for something. That's just me.
Well spit. I hit it. Sean Glenn, I don't know if you want to take it.
Yeah, listen. I think it's ideal if I mean, it's nice if it can happen. I wouldn't say ideal, but it's nice. But look, Vern said she didn't come here to make friends. She got enough friends, and I mean, I can respect that, because I don't know that I necessarily want to, if I was dating somebody and we didn't work out, I want to necessarily be friends. I'm not saying we can't be friendly, but I don't necessarily want to be friends either. Not at this stage of the game. When I was younger, yeah, we could be friends, see where it goes. But, once you get in your 40s, when you're really looking to settle down, if it didn't work out, it didn't work out.
Yeah, I agree with Sean. We could be friendly, but we don't necessarily have to be buddy, right? I agree. We can be friendly. I can be cordial. I'm not going to run you down on social media, do all this type of thing. But we can be respectful as adults, but I'm not calling you every day. Unless this relationship is going further, unless we can try to rekindle it without the cameras being on, it's not. We don't have to be friends. But I do agree with Jay. She was rude. Like, what are you waiting for this man to follow you for? He told you he was processing, right? He thought y'all were going to be together. He thought everything was going fine. Now you want him to chase you. So you want him to send mixed signals? Like, chase you? So you want me to get up and chase you after you told me that you don't want to be with me? Let me sit here and think a minute. He's probably in his mind like, dang, I'm on camera, so don't cuss her out. Don't say nothing foul. Don't say nothing rude. Let me see how can I get out of here and keep myself respectful, because she been lying to me. And so let him process that. He got up, he left quietly, right? He wasn't disrespectful to her, wasn't disrespectful to anybody in the room that we saw, and he rolled out. So, you know, give that man his minute, his time. And what you know, my thing is, not be friendly, not friends.
And Coach, she did clarify too. I don't know if you saw that part, that she didn't want him to chase her. She just wanted him to get up and get out. So
yeah.
It was even worse.
Yeah, it's even worse.
Like, I didn't want him to chase me. I just wanted him to get on up and get out. It was taking a little long. And
I retract that part of my statement.
Yeah, you know, like, yeah.
It's even worse,
but
bro.
it looked that way from editing. So, I mean, look, it did appear that way. But she did say something, which, again, just this stuff that doesn't make sense. She was like, he didn't even try to hug me. I'm like, you should extend a hug to him. You're the one that rejected him. If you want to, you know, have a gracious moment or tell him, you know, a nicety on your way out, then you would be the one to give him the hug. He shouldn't extend his arms to hug you when you just told him you don't want a relationship with him anymore. It's like, I think her, I think, you know, her mentality about how she expects things to go, I think she just lacks a little bit of empathy. And it's almost like, you know, you need to come to me. And I think it was the same way when it came to the communication. It's like, you got to do this because this is what I want. It's like, ma'am, like, communication should be reciprocal. You need to kind of, you know, soften the energy a little bit, you know, in terms of, and have some ebb and flow. And it was almost like a stern. She was like scolding him. And it's the same thing where, you know, she was expecting him to just be warm and extending a hug to her. You're being cold to me. You just told me you don't want a relationship. You kind of scolded me down and kicked me to the curb. I'm collecting myself here. And now you expect me to extend my arms to hug you? I think, you know, that's, you know, come on.
It's a little interesting to me, and just a little bit off the subject that you were just on, Sean, but it's a little interesting to me that you guys find that you can't be friends with somebody that you didn't sleep with. Just because you went on dates. That's puzzling. I don't understand how you guys both feel like, oh, we can't be friends. We didn't sleep with each other. Why we can't be friends?
I said that because it's a TV show. We're two different places. We never met each other if it wasn't a TV show. You're not part of my everyday life. You're not a part of my everyday life. If you was in Houston and you was a part of my everyday life, I saw you on a regular basis. She can actually go through life and never mention Tabari ever again because he lives in Louisiana.
True,
you know, and so my thing was based off the fact that it was a TV show. It's not everyday, you know, occurrences. We don't go to church together. We ain't working together. We don't see each other at the grocery store, Walmart type deal, you know.
Okay, I got that. Yeah, I can see it in that regards. But you know, us Nola Paper, we just so friendly. We don't care where you live. You know what I'm saying? If you come up in our city, you pull up in our city, you got welcome in anytime. You welcome in. That's how we just feel like when we come into your city, we should be able to hit you up, hang out a little bit, catch up. Might introduce you to somebody that might be your future partner. You just never know.
I think the reality is she doesn't like him. That's the point. That's why she can't be friends with him, because she didn't like him at all. You know what I mean? Like when you don't like someone, it's hard for you to even want to be friendly with the person, because, you know, you can't extend that because you don't like them. And that's what I was saying that I noticed throughout the course of the show, is that she was tolerating him the whole entire time. And one of the ways you know when people are tolerating you is physical touch. I never saw much physical touch from the two of them. I always felt like there was a lot of distance between the two of them. You know, they can sit on the same bench and there's still a lot of gap between the two of them. And it happened when he came to see his mom. It happened when she was talking to him about the communication. It happened when she first mentioned the fact that he didn't message her for 6 weeks or whatever. Like, they barely do any physical touch. You know what I mean? Maybe a hug here or a touch there, but they don't do much. And that is a big indication about the kind of chemistry you have. When you see two people that like each other, you can see that their physical distance usually is quite closed, because they're comfortable being in each other's spaces. So I think that also contributed towards the fact that being a friend also was probably going to be an ick to her. It was going to be a turn off. It's going to be no, just turn off. It's going to be annoying that you're wanting a friendship. No, I want you gone.
Right.
That is why she wanted him gone in the house too, because like, your time is up. I've literally tolerated you the whole entire time. your guts to go. It's almost like when you've sorry to say anybody else who haven't done this. If you're good, you're good. You've had a one night stand and you look at the person like, I need you to get the fuck up and get out of here. I'm not trying to have a conversation. I just need you out. Yeah. And it's that same kind of energy. It's like that person is no longer, you're no longer wanting that person in your space. So there was never going to be a friendship because she never actually went to any kind of depth with him anyway. You know what I mean? So there's no real foundation there. But as myself, would I be friends with that person? Friend's a very strong word for me personally, because I don't call anybody friend. If I call you a friend, it's because I'm willing to die for you. So I don't have many friends. But if I was to say somebody I'm cool with, yeah, why can't I be cool with you? Why can't it be a case of, just check up on you, every few months, whatever, just make sure you're good, or if you're in my city, do you need anything? How you doing? Da-da-da. Yeah, I don't mind that kind of aspect. So maybe that's what they meant by friendship. But yeah, when she said, he ain't leaving, I just knew that she was sick and tired of him, because he's sitting there looking downcast, looking like he needs to think about some things, and all she's thinking is, get your ish and get out the door. You know what I mean?
That's how I took
and you have
that.
to deep it. It's a confession, which means she had time to think about this answer. This isn't immediate. It's not usually immediately they do this. This is after the incidents happen that they replay it for you, and sometimes it's not the same day. It's actually a few days after, which means you got time to think about it. And she went back to her original thought, which was, I needed him out the door. Yeah, I just didn't want him to be there no more. So yeah, I don't know. You go for it, Jay. You want to reply?
No, that's how I took it. I mean, how Sean said she said it. That's how I took it in that moment. Even with her saying I wanted him to chase me, it was more so I wanted him to chase me to the door so I can get him out. Even though I want him to chase me somewhere. I want him to chase me somewhere, just to the door and out. That's how I took it. Because she all but said it. That the chase part was a little confusing, however, but she all but said it. I want him out, because she told the guys that he is still here. Like, he's still here, y'all.
Yeah.
She was whispering it too, like, he's still here. So
I really wonder how long my man was really sitting there, though. I know at the head of the but how long was he really sitting there to the point where she really wanted him to just get out? Because, like I said, he was contemplating the world. And
I think she said 10 minutes.
and see, for me,
10 minutes.
for
Yeah,
me,
that's
if
a long-
you're
that's a
sitting there
long time.
processing with all that she said, that means that she said some other stuff that is like, I feel like she said some more nastier stuff than what we saw. Because ain't no way I need to process that long unless you done really went into my behind. You
10
on mute,
minutes.
Sean?
Oh, my bad. I think he's a little sensitive, though. I mean, not that
Okay.
there's anything wrong with that, but I could see him as being a little sensitive. He and I think he liked her. He seemed like he liked her. I
Mhm.
mean, look, we just watching it on the show, but he seemed like he liked her. He brought his mama out. He brought the whole family out. His whole immediate family tree came to meet her. And I think he liked her, and I think his feelings was hurt a little bit, because even in her live, she said she doesn't understand how he was surprised. How he was surprised that that's what she said. Maybe because he liked you, and he just, and just hearing it all come together, it was like, wow, I liked her. I was kind of hopeful.
Yeah, she was sending mixed signals. She was saying some other stuff to him for order for him to be that much and liked. Like I said, you don't just share your mama with everybody, right? And unless that was the only other person he had, he was really trying to roll out the red carpet for her and try to get her to like him. He really wanted to do it. Now, the way he was doing or going about it turned her off. I think one of the biggest things that made me look at it was like turn off. I think it was eating French fries, and he bit one of the French fries after she had ate it, and she was like, "Oh, that's nasty." And she looked at him like it was funny. Like, nah, you really cared about him. Like Cole said, "Oh, that's cute." You'd have been some affectionate type stuff, but she wasn't feeling him. I think she was getting along just to get along, because there was nobody else that they was giving her that could fit a bill.
He's not. Do you know what it is? Because he's not smooth. Venetia's got a type of man that she really likes. Can you guys have the fireworks? I might have to close the door.
Yeah, we hear a little
But
bit.
you can hear a little bit, yeah. Venetia's got a type that she likes. She likes a particular man. Mizell and Jabari are very similar characters. Very slick, smooth kind of operators. Tabari is completely different from the two of them. And I think that the fact that she wanted to even go there with Mizell tells me everything to know. It's her type. She's got a type that she likes, that interpersonal kind of behavior. She likes a smooth kind of brother, and that's what gets her going. So that's why she couldn't give herself to someone like Tabari, because Tabari, quote unquote, it's corny to her. It's what it is. Like, and so instead of actually being honest about it, and maybe she thought to herself, maybe I can try something different. But really and truly, she's not ready for something different. She likes what she likes. Someone said Joel. Yeah, Joel was the exact same way. Joel from previous season was the exact same way. Those three brothers, Joel, Jabari, and Mizell, are exactly the same type of man. They are slick, smooth, sexy talkers. With a pause on there, but you know what I mean. Like they like to just kind of just smoothly infect you. You know what I mean? If I was a drink, I'd call it a brandy. Not a brandy. I'll call it what do you call it? There's a drink that we have here. That I don't drink, but I don't know, can't think of it. Come to me later. But there's a drink here. Bailey's, yes. That's the only other alcohol I've ever touched in my whole entire life. It was a very small drop. And I said, this thing is smooth. God damn. And it's the exact same way these brothers are. They're very smooth. And so these guys tend to, I don't want to say be players, but they tend to be players. So it's like Vern doesn't see that she's got a particular type that she wants, and it's not going to change until she's ready for change, all right? And so if what you're doing previously isn't working, Vern, you need to change it. That's why her answers were so discombobulated when we were hearing her talk to Jabari, when she said, I'm going to be out 24/7, I'm going to be out here doing boss things. But then when you came to Jabari, now you're telling me that you're a stay-at-home mom. We were confused. We weren't sure what was going on, right? So, yeah, I don't know if anyone else wants to add some more into that aspect.
I mean, she all but told us, that's what she wants, because she told us when with Martet, what is his name? Whatever his name is, that players can't play players and stuff. So that's what she wants. Yeah, she considers herself a player. So what else to be with? What's my biggest competition? Another player, changing another player. But that's what keeps her in this loophole that she's in. You keep it being in the same predicament because you're chasing the same things, getting the same outcome, but you're hoping for something different. You're like a little cuckoo right now. So I don't know. But I think overall, like you guys say, as fellas, if you don't want me, don't choose me. So in her case, according to y'all, she made the very best decision because she don't want that man. So I'm glad she didn't choose him.
Yeah, I'm glad she didn't choose him either, to be honest. I'm sure not glad wants to add any more.
I'm glad she didn't choose him. I didn't think it was going to work out. Let's not waste. I think Sean talked about being at a certain age. Let's not waste both of our time. I mean, let's not waste both of our time and waste both of our energy. If just for the sake of the show, that you want to date me a little bit longer, we're wasting each other's time. Especially if he's not communicating now and you're not traveling back and forth between New Orleans and Houston, and he ain't traveling back and forth, and he ain't got time with all the jobs that he has. Nothing wrong with that. But if you ain't got time to invest in somebody, let's not waste time.
Yeah, and I think, this whole concept of settling, is something that, we just got to examine what that really is. Because just like you were saying, Cole, just like if what you've gone after in the past, your type, has gotten you to where you are, and it's not in a place where you're necessarily happy, right, with your singledom, and you want to attract a mate, you need to look at what you're looking at and what's really important. And I think that's some of the stuff that I wish I would have seen Vernisha do a little bit more on the show, because I think she was so focused on avoiding duplicating the Joel effect, right? And chasing a man and, everything that came from that she overlooked some of the other things that she could be doing differently in the dating market. So I think, it's sometimes, and I mean, I don't want to drag this out, but I think when if we have a bad relationship and it ends, we'll look at the person's fault, right? And then we'll say, I'm just going to avoid that. But that's too easy, because what happens is you avoid you, because it's you that got into the relationship with that person and those things took place. When you just say, well, if I was in a relationship with a woman that cheated on me, well, then I'm never going to get in a woman that was just looked like her. That's not the issue. It's not that easy. You know what I mean? Because you're just going to attract different versions of that same person until you fix yourself. And I think that's sometimes what people do in relationships. and they're just like, oh, well, I'm never going to get another guy like that, you know? And I think that's what she was saying. But you forgot to really look at you, you know, and what's the work you've done on yourself to be better, to do better? What are some things maybe that you could do differently or look for differently in other people as well?
Can we get the collection plate going around? Because my brother over here on good one.
The question is Vern willing to do the work? Is she willing to do the work to get something different? If you keep seeing the same thing and getting the same people and attracted to the same people that you can't make a connection with, at what point do you say, you know what, I might need to change my type? At what point do you say, you know what, I need to change who I deal with or what I'm looking for? I need to find somebody else that's dealing with me and can treat me the way I want to be treated. And how long do you take before you communicate to a guy like Tabari, hey, this is what my expectations are, and this is what it takes for me to be in a relationship with me. And then how long do you give him to correct himself to do what because you want him to communicate more? At what rate do you give him a distance or a time to correct that? Because everybody's different. Every relationship is different. Every woman is different. So at what point, after you tell him how to treat you, how long do you give him to treat you the way that you need to be treated?
Those are all good questions for a person who is ready to see themselves and change. But Vern not there because the thing we just read from Kojo, she's still blaming others instead of looking at herself first. So those are great questions that we need to ask ourselves when we're in that space of self-awareness and wanting to be better and to have the actual change that we desire. But she ain't there. She ain't there yet.
She told the people to leave her alone and go clean their house. That's what she told them on the IG Live. She said, mind your business and go clean your house. Because she's good. And they keep saying it in the comments, but she definitely did mention that she has many, many options. There's many, many people that are in her DMs. She'll do as many dating shows as she wants or not, and she'll be just fine.
Well, we know that she likes the attention. Sorry, Coach.
No. Jay, that's it. That's literally what I was about to say. It's just she shouldn't confuse the fact that people are in your DMs as viable candidates. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, and also as well, in order to be able to maximize the viable candidates, like you said, Sean, will she be able to see what's good for her and what's not good for her? You know what I mean? Like I said, I think this show can be a blessing or it can be a curse, right? And most times it's a curse for most people because, Jay, you said it as well. You need to be self-reflective. You need to sit down and reflect about what happened, right? So even if there is nobody there for you, what did you learn? How did you grow? What did you see differently? What did you pick up from people that maybe, you know what, you weren't the right person for me, but actually I did learn X, Y, and Z, right? You know, like what she might have, from this Tabari situation, hey, you know what, Tabari wasn't the guy for me, but I did realize a few things about the situation. So, I don't know. I feel like you're probably going to end up in the same situation. And also, Vern right now, maybe, because obviously, I think she got her body done at the time, didn't she? Like, at the time of the last show, I think, was a little bit of a body done. You get this little up kick and this uplift because men are giving you now a different type of attention and a different type of energy. But it goes back to what I said. If you want a different result, you need to change the inputs. And right now, I feel like she's enjoying the spoils of an uplift of male attention that's coming from the male gaze because of the physique, you know what I mean? And not because of this. You know what I mean? You want to be able to test how great the quality of your viable candidates are. How many of them can stimulate your mind? How many of them, when they actually have a conversation with you, actually enjoy the conversation? How many of those people that when you actually talk to them, you're actually enjoying where it's going to and you actually want to spend time with that person? Look, we can also, listen, there's people in my DMs, but I tell you, most of them, it's not getting to a conversation place. My mind needs to be stimulated. You know what I'm saying to you? So I don't get gassed about people in the DMs because that doesn't mean anything until this mind is stimulated. You know what I mean? And that's what we talk about, the quality over the quantity, because no matter how much quantity you have, we want quality always, So I'd just say to her, like, look, don't let your body and your good looking face fool you what are these men, which of these men actually can hold a conversation? Which of these men can actually stimulate your mind? Which of these men actually you like and enjoy getting to know beyond the surface of just their body and their organs? That's where you need to find yourself into. And maybe first and foremost, when she stops leading with her body, she'll be able to understand that from the other party too, as well. So I don't know. Any other thoughts on the Jabari and Vern situation? If not, I'll shift it. Yes, Sean, go for it. You want to say something?
Oh, no. I just think,
Okay.
listen, I want to also just make reference. I know she was a little, punchy. And I know that some of the folks, they do get attacked. So, I definitely don't stand for anybody attacking her. But I think some of the feedback that she is getting, she should listen to, like, in terms of how she's presenting herself. I know she was, a little defensive about some of the, there's been a lot of commentary about her clothes and stuff. But, listen, we live in a visual world and people make judgments about us based on how we show up. And it's not to say we should fix everything that people say, but if with giving people the wrong impression, I think it's something to be looked at. Right. And I think how you show up and how you present yourself does speak to you. And if that's how you are showing up all the time, then, maybe you want to make an adjustment, just maybe.
All righty. Appreciate it. All right, let's move on then. Let's talk about Charisse Maurice. They ended up staying the course, and he will now be visiting Miami. The ladies here, they said, listen, this show premise don't work for us. We're going to change the game, okay? And so now it looks like Maurice will be visiting Charisse in Miami and come and see what she does over there. And I guess they'll see how it goes. And to be honest, I'm not actually mad at that. I think that's actually a more sensible premise, if I'm honest with you, that, that they get to come to where she is too and get to see, how she operates in a more natural environment where she's at her home town and stuff. So I think that's a better premise. I want to get you guys' thoughts. What do you guys think about Charisse and Maurice and their situation? I know Sean, is brought some great commentary in terms of Charisse and stuff. But what's you guys' thoughts on that couple for you? Let me let Glenn get in there. Glenn, talk to me, man.
I think this is the really only true couple I think can make it. And this is, I think they depends on how the communication can go, how the moving goes. I think Charisse really likes Maurice. I think we saw Maurice grow over the episode from being non-communicative to being communicating more, even being a little bit gossipy towards the end, like, yo, we're gonna talk about this stuff later. I don't know if y'all caught that part. You're like, we got a lot to talk about later, talking about the other couples. But I think Charisse has really opened up to him. I think she likes his demeanor, his swag, his money. I think she likes what he can do for her. The thing is she open enough to stay open to him, so they can continue to communicate and work this thing and make it grow? Will she be patient enough to make it grow with him? And that's the thing. Will she have it blow up like we know she can do 0 to 100 on the one mistake he makes or the one opportunity to have a disagreement? The thing is, can she be patient enough to be able to stay in relationship with him, and can they grow together and stay out of the cameras and stuff like that, and just work on them and not let people get involved with them? I think that's one of the biggest things for her, is to focus on something and then focus on the relationship and let that grow and understand where she's at in life and what she wants, and communicate that to Maurice so he can communicate back to her or not communicate. Whenever she communicate to him, it has to be over a meal, because bro always was eating. He ate on every show. So that's one of my biggest things on that. But that they got to be able to communicate one another. She has to be open and stay open with him and be actually, real and be honest and see where this thing can go.
I like it. I hear that. Absolutely true. Jay or Sean? Let me go Jay. Because Sean is Team Charisse for sure. So
Yeah, no, I'm definitely Team Charisse in this moment, for real, because I really did like the fact that Maurice was very reassuring to her. He gives her the security that she needs to like make those baby leaps forward. And I hope that I wish them the best for it. Which my only concern with the whole situation is Charisse and her fear in the idle times, because a lot of times we have fear of past relationships and stuff, and those memories creep into our head when we just have too much quiet time going on away from the person. And being that this is going to be kind of a long distance relationships, and those times that they're away, hopefully she can keep her mind busy and keep herself busy on other things, that she don't start overthinking and over analyzing every single little thing that is not perfectly going right in the relationship, to where she starts breaking down and nitpicking and creating things wrong that don't really exist. And so I just hope she keeps that fear at bay so it doesn't get to that stage and they can continue moving forward. And right now, like I said, he reassures her, he keeps her going pretty good. And if she just doesn't bring too much to the table, I think they can evenly balance that transition for her as far as moving forward and getting her more secure and being in a relationship with somebody not so close to her. And Miami is a skip from New Orleans. It's an easy travel or whatever. It's both party towns, so I think they will have great fun just spending that time visiting each other back and forth. It's not a big change. In the cold seasons in NOLA, he can go down to Miami, and in the hot, semi-hot. I don't want her to be burning up, because that NOLA heat is something different. That humidity is something different. But the fun moments where we have Essence Fest or, the bowls or whatever and stuff like that, it'd be a good time to come down there and get away from Miami's little whatever. So, but we'll see next week how they're doing. Hopefully they're still working it out.
Thank you, Jay. Sean.
Yeah, I think they made a good choice. I think we see the ladies have all made it their own show. Now, whether they were all given the full clarity on what the premise of the show was, who they say no, whatever. But I can tell you one thing, that is indicative of how sometimes situations break down, because someone's will is not willing to someone's not malleable, right? And if we want to twist people to do what we want them to do versus what the program is, so hey, I think that's what kind of is the downfall of some of the relationships that didn't work out where they could have, maybe like Zadia and Cam, and now Maurice and Charisse. And I think on I've spoken positively about them, so everybody knows I'm a fan of them. So I think the other part of it is that I think that can get in her way, and that's the part that if she's not willing to just continue to let go of what happened in her past and the people that have hurt her in the past, and allow him to treat her the way he's going to treat her, and so far we've seen that he cares about her and will treat her well. But I think if she continues to have that cloud hanging over her, it can be a detriment to their relationship. So I'm rooting for them. I'm hoping that's not the case. I think I saw from the little snippet in the reunion that she said, hey, she may be willing to, move to Orleans. You never know. I don't know if that was just like kind of a teaser of something or if that's a reality. But, I think they have the makings of the right relationship. And I'll end with, I think that balance is so needed. For somebody like Charisse, as much as she wants somebody that's going to be doing all this talking, you need somebody that can balance you. I think that's more important. If their energies can balance, if they can bring out some of the positives and kind of, not be in competition with you, or both of your personalities are high and it's just going to cause an eruption. I think that, hopefully, I think she started to, along the way, see the value in how he's able to, compliment her.
So, I'm probably gonna go against the grain here. I don't like it. I'm gonna tell you why. I feel like I don't see much depth. Number one. Number two, I think we're forgetting Sharice's temper and anger and temperament. Okay? Now, this is a double standard, I guess, does exist amongst men and women because there are different things that happen between men and women in relationships due to the fact that there's a physical presence of a man and the strength of a man, right? But we would not be happy about a relationship where a man has anger issues and doesn't get along with men. We'd be looking at him like, so he wants to get in a relationship with a woman when he know he can't get on with men? He's consistently getting into fights, arguments, disputes with men, and then he's going to be a good partner too? Now, of course, there is a double standard here because, again, as a man, oftentimes we are the stronger sex, and so therefore it does lead oftentimes, if it was physical, whatever, it can lead to crazy things, right? But in a sense, what we're saying is his calmness will tame her anger. But in reality, whilst this may happen, there's also the distinct possibility, far more greater, that her anger will actually come out during the course of that relationship, and it'll be a test of his patience versus her anger, and which one will outlast the other. And in a lot of cases, the anger usually wins past the patience. You know? And so I am worried about that because I haven't seen a growth from Sharice from the previous season when it came to the relationship with the behavior in Miami to the behavior here, right? Like, I didn't see her be more calm. I didn't see the fact that she didn't get on with women again. It's the same position she was in Miami, and we're still doing the same thing once more again. So whilst I'm not saying, whilst I'm not saying that it's not possible that this could work, for me personally, I'm saying that I'm not entirely convinced by the relationship. So for me personally, I'm not really with it. Can't lie to you.
But that's why I said what I said. I just set it up nicer that her fears don't lead her to do destructive behaviors or whatnot, because that's where that anger, that's where all of that hostility comes from, is whatever fear that she has, that whatever pain, whatever trauma, whatever thing, that event occurred that caused it to bottle up inside of her. That's where it comes from. And I'm hoping that she's doing the work on herself. She can't rely on him balancing her out. She has to do that work so she can be able to hone in on the times where she's feeling triggered or this, that, and the third, and she can calm herself before he needs to step in. Now, if it's a situation with her going against other women and stuff like that, we can perfectly, and men do this often too, where y'all could be, as humans, be perfectly fine with your partner. And it's you and your partner against the world, because once you step outside, then it's a problem. The only problem with that is you got to have a partner that's willing to fight with you every time you go outside. That's the whole thing with that. Now, is Maurice willing to fight with her every time he go outside? I don't know. He got a lot to lose. However, I still agree that this is a type of person that she needs in her life to help her healing journey move forward. Even if it's not her forever person, this will help her get into a better space in her next stage.
Yeah, I agree. She got to work on herself. I think I think you can see her trying to work on herself, but I think she needs to stop doing reality TV shows. They trigger her when she's on TV shows, when she's on with people, and she knows she can't get along. Don't get along. Just be about you and your man. And so stop being triggered on reality TV. And I think the work with her can get better if she just stay out of the TV situation and focus on her and Maurice. And what's that saying from the 5 Heartbeats? I got to fight every night to prove my love. Maurice is going to have to fight somebody to make sure that he keeps Sharice around, because there's going to be something Sharice is going to do that's going to take him being a lawyer for real if she keeps being around certain people and certain things. So.
Go for it, Sean. She gonna need a lawyer at the end of this, so she better keep good.
That's an interesting perspective. I'm not gonna, I'm not going to pretend like there's not work for her to do. There definitely is, for sure, you know. So yeah, yeah, hey, I think he's smart enough to know what he's getting himself into, and if he is aware and he's willing to take it on, then hey, more power to him. I just happen to think that two things can happen at the same time. Like, she can still be doing work on herself, and um also have a relationship with him. And I don't. The one thing that I do like about her is, at least from what I've seen, again, I don't know her from a can of paint, but she's not somebody that's deceptive. Like, if she's gonna be firing off, she's firing off. And I also like that she was vulnerable with him and kind of let her guard down a little bit. When they had that picnic, and that showed me that she was just opening herself up to say, hey, listen, this is what scares me. This is what I'm afraid of. And it allowed him to kind of see deeper into her, and them to kind of work through the things. I think everybody has something that they're working on. And if he's willing, as long as he knows what he's getting, and she's not pretending, then they can make it work.
Hey man, listen, they probably could work. You know what I mean? It's more of a precaution. You know what I mean? That I'm saying. So, not to say that they can't work. I believe they've got the best chance out of everybody. But and that's saying something. But I mean, yeah. I mean, it's more of a precaution rather than actually say no, it can't work. You know what I mean? It's something to think about going into a relationship. For anybody else watching out there as well, to kind of pay attention to that. If you know you got anger issues, ladies, don't be saying I need a man that can handle me, because that's usually what the conversation turns into. You know what? I haven't met a man that can handle me, and then that in turn leads to the toxic kind of relationship that you don't really want. So it's more precautionary than to say that this relationship ain't gonna work or this relationship can't work. I believe it can. He's calm, he's cool, he's collected, and he's a lawyer, so he knows how to handle his stuff. But as Glenn said, he can't clock off. That's tiring. If you can't clock off, that's quite tiring. If you always have to be on your A game, even at home, that's tiring. You know what I mean? So it's just, again, a precautionary aspect, just going forward to make just people aware of that, like in that scenario. But I do believe they have the best chance possible, because they got the same similar depth. I don't see much of it. There's no beef. I just don't see much of it. And I think they're both on that same level. So I think this can work. I think they can work, personally, I don't know if anyone else wants to add to them. No? Cool. All right, let's shift it then. Obviously, we got, Zadia and Cam and their situation. They're gonna continue again. He's gonna come to DC, even though he said he's not moving to DC. So, because earlier on in the show he said he ain't coming to stay in DC, but he's definitely now going to come and check her in DC. I'm not sure what's going on here, but love to know your thoughts, ladies and gents. What you think about the Zad and the Cam situation, What's your thoughts? Oh, Sean shifted his seat, so I'm going to go to Sean, because he shifted his whole body.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just I just feel bad at this point, because I don't know how many times this guy has to say it in how many different ways, that he's really not into he doesn't want anything serious. Now, maybe, just maybe, he's telling her a couple of different things at the same time, and I think that could be possibly confusing her, to try to give her some grace in this. But I'm super confused, because this guy has had like a handful of conversations in a very short show, and a short show cycle. Hold on one second. Abby was
Not you
trying
yelling
to
at my niece.
run me crazy. Woo! She was driving me nuts. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think that he's told her in so many different ways that this isn't, I don't want anything serious. Like, I'm willing, it seems like he's saying, I'm willing to have fun. I'm willing to do the late night creeping, but anything outside of that, I really don't want to do. So that's kind of what I see the situation as. And here we are again. She knows it too, I think, because she keeps saying, I feel like, I'm going with my heart instead of my mind and blah, blah, blah. Whatever. She knows the truth. She needs to set him free. She's a grown woman. She can definitely do what she wants to do with her body. I'm not telling her what she should do. I'm not trying to shame her for any decisions that perhaps allegedly she has made. But I think that clouds the judgment. And I think her judgment may have been clouded a little bit. And that's why she can't see the forest for the trees.
You're right, Sean. You're right. She knows the truth, but the problem with Zadia is she's allergic and scared of the truth. We seen that through the whole show. She's still on the reunion, still not telling the truth. Like, come on, sis. Okay, we know you grown, but you still lying. So here we are. And the problem with that is, unfortunately for Zadia, her lies have trickled down to herself. She's now lying to herself. She don't want to believe his truth because she's so used to lying and people lying to her. That's her battlefield. We just gonna play in La La Land, delusional, whatever you want to call it. That's her battlefield. And his truth sound like lies to her. His body language must look like lies, because that's all I seen. When she told him I'm choose you, he sunk down low. I was like, oh my God, you do not see that every time you get ready to say you choose this man, he take a deep breath, give you this weird little smile and say, okay, I guess I'm still here. Like, so I don't know what more that we want. Like, it's each week gets harder and harder to give her grace, because it's just like, we see you, sis, and we see him, and I know you see him too. And every bit of his body language is telling him, let him free. Just give him free. You should just gave him free. Just let him be. You know what I'm saying? Y'all did whatever y'all was doing in your grown lives. You did it. It's done. Move on. Now you done made this choice for what? I don't know. So he basically told her again, like Sean said, I'm good. Don't want you like that. Let's go slow. Let's start off as being friends. I'm not moving to your city. I'm not doing any of this stuff. And she says, okay, I hear you that, but I'm going to raise you. You're going to move to my city. You're going to do this. I'm still going to put my money on me and the fact that you like me that much, that you're going to choose me properly. She losing. I'm sorry. Sorry, Zadia. Zadia.
Yeah, she lost this one. I was like Sean. I was confused. Confused at the fact, why would she even still ask this guy to come to DC? He's told you every which way except for the different language that he doesn't want you, right? That he doesn't want to be with you. That he doesn't want to go to DC. He's not moving to DC. He really doesn't want you. He's comfortable with his life. He's just basically fulfilling his obligations because he's on the show, and he's been hoping since like episode 4 or 5 that you let him go, and you haven't been able to let him go yet. And probably after he got the goodies, allegedly, he was ready for her to let him go. But he's willing to come to DC to keep having fun, and she's willing to keep letting him come to DC and have fun. And I think that's what it was all about. I need you to come visit me to meet my needs, and then after that, I'll let you go back down to New Orleans, and we'll do our own thing. And isn't that what he kind of asked for anyway? He kind of asked not to be in a relationship, just to do their own thing and then get together whenever they can get together. So she's kind of delusional. I guess she can't go back home without a man and tell everybody she failed yet again. But I think you said something, Jay. The truth is not in her. Even when you catch her in a lie, the truth is still not in her. She still can't fess up or own up to her own wrongdoing. And Zadia is in her own mind. Sometimes you think you're talking to, I'm not trying to insult, sometimes you think she still has a high school type of mind or a college type of mindset, and not a mindset of a person who should know a little bit better, right? If you one breath you say my body's my own, I can do whatever I want, but yet they ask you, did you stay in the house? And you're like, yeah, I slept in my own bed. Tell the truth. Yo, if you grown, you grown. Do what you do. So at this point, I think at the reunion, they're not gonna be together. It's just not gonna work out. He's not willing to do anything she wants him to do, and she can't manipulate him. And I think that's what she likes. The fact that it's the challenge that she can't control him and he bucks back a little bit. It's kind of enticing to her. And I think that she likes that and see if she can. She's trying to see if she can break him, but I don't think think she can.
Yeah, listen. I think with Zadia here, I think the key thing is that Cam is quite a laid back person, and he gives the impression that he's not going to overcommit. And it's quite interesting actually because it's a similar vibe to Dante. Chill, laid back. I know Dante had his madness that he was on, but that kind of same kind of energy, right? Now maybe not as accomplished as Cam, but that same kind of energy as well, right? But like you said, Glenn, that resistance that he brings, which is basically the moment you try to control me is when you realize he's not so weak. He's actually a very strong-willed individual person, but he's very chill. So I don't know if that's her type or whatever. Now, of course, Naeem was so much more different because I didn't get that from Naeem at all when she dated Naeem and Ready to Love. I got somebody who she could control, but with Dante and Cam, I see that same kind of energy. But it's intriguing because I feel like Zadia, once she likes somebody and once she gives herself to that person, it's over. Like, it don't matter what gets said, what gets done, she's going to try and pursue, to pursue that man. And I think Zadia gets she gets validation from choosing somebody who she has worked hard for. And that screams a lack of self-worth and esteem. Because what you're really trying to prove is that you're worthy through the pursuit. It's actually the same thing with Simone Biles. I know some of you ain't going to like it, but they're in the same boat, okay? And they are rowing in the same direction. They are trying to prove through their pursuit that they're worthy. And in reality, okay, right, when you do that, you put yourself in the most weirdest position because that guy who's being pursued and chased, okay, never really sees your value. Because as men, most times we really want to be able to pursue you to prove to ourselves that we have some value. But also number two is what we get to boast at the end of it. And number three, because we work, the curse that we have as men is that we must till the ground. We are used to hard work. So part of the chase, not to necessarily be that the person's impossible to catch, but there's some graft that's included in that situation. And it doesn't mean that the interaction isn't smooth or isn't a seamless one, because there are many interactions of people who get together and the interaction is very smooth, but there's a process of me going forth, and that going forth and me going to go here and me wanting to take you on dates, me wanting to take you out, me enjoying that process as an individual man is a part of that, right? But when you put yourself in a position that I feel like Zadia is in, this is what happens. And this is why I compared it to Simone, because I can guarantee if we said, Zadia, are you happy? She would tell us, yes, she's happy. Meanwhile, when we saw her on the screen, every time he tells her he's not really feeling her like that, her face goes. It drops for a few seconds and it picks up again because she's hearing something that doesn't align with what she actually wants. So for me, looking at Zadia again, it's sad to see that she's in that space, but I think we've seen it in a much more in-depth way on this season than we did on the previous season. On the previous season, we didn't get to see it in depth. We saw parts, but this one we get to really see it. Oh, once you get stuck, you get stuck. And this is what she meant, but I was going to choose your ass. This is what it would have been like, you know? So, yeah, I don't know if anyone else wants to add on to that perspective.
Yeah, no, I think that it's like when you get in your own way And I think it's a couple of things going on. And I don't, I'm not saying that Cam is not a grown man and he is, forcing her to be in this scenario either, or he's forced, or he has forced himself to be in the scenario as well. But I think like what happens is like this can happen in a relationship, similar to what you were saying, where you can see you can see where this is going, but you convince yourself otherwise. And it's a combination of things that happen in your own head / things that person is doing. So I just feel like she's getting in her own way because at her core, she knows it. Because we know that gut reaction that we have when we ask somebody a question and they answer. That usually tells us everything we need to know, especially if it's a real serious question, like where are we going? Where is this going? What are we doing? Right? And if that gut reaction is always like, ooh, this doesn't feel so good. And every time she does it, she's like, oh, another one of these conversations again. Another one of these conversations again. And then here we go again at the reunion when he says, I was actually relieved when the process was over. And she has to say it again. So you telling me you were relieved when I left? Zadia, it is a little more complex than that. He just doesn't totally enjoy you. Of course he does aspects of you, but when you don't want the same things and the person is consistently trying to move you to a place where you don't want to be, that does get frustrating, right? So I think that's kind of where it boils down to with the two of them. And she just has to set herself free because she's getting in her own way, thinking that she's got it all covered. And I think lastly, it's a little bit of her own ego / maybe pride, where you think you got it all covered. Like you think you have all the chess pieces in line and you know exactly what all the next moves are going to be. And I think she just miscalculated because she didn't, because he doesn't want the same things that you want. And I don't care as much as you try to spin it, twist it, move it around. You're pursuing him is not going to end up well. You're going to be in a place where you're not getting what you want.
Yeah, I think she does understand that. I think she doesn't hear the word no too much, and she can't accept the fact that he doesn't want her to be. She's not the catch to him. He's more about his business, about his money, about everything else than her. And I think she's probably used to guys falling all over her. I think she's used to people, not telling her no. And when he tells her no, it's like, what do you mean? No. What do you mean you don't want to move to DC? What do you mean that you don't like me like that? What do you mean? Well, what I mean, because he's been telling the truth the whole time. He hasn't lied. Like, he doesn't like the process. I think he was relieved when she left or when the cameras were gone. He can go back to his normal life. I think his friend kind of said that Cam is like the guy that we got to make go out, or he's into his own world. He likes doing his own thing. He maneuvers in his own realm. And for him to cater to Zadia the whole time, it's messing up his bubble. It's messing up his circle. It's messing up his routine. And he doesn't want somebody to mess up his routine. He wants somebody to get along with him and not try to control him. And she's trying to control him a little bit through the way that she does things. And I think if Cam could have backed out of this TV show and the rest of it, or could have self-eliminated, he probably would have self-eliminated himself when she chose him. But he didn't, for the sake of whatever reason. He didn't want to embarrass her. But if he could do it, he probably would have.
Yeah, I ain't got really much else to say on it. We done watched enough suffering.
Dang, Jay, come on, say something nice. Jeez,
I'm just saying, when a person is telling you the truth or whatever, and you just not listening, I don't know what more we can say to you at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can't say nothing more to you. And then as soon as he lie to you or whatever, you're going to run with the lie, and then he don't deliver, and he going to be the problem. So you put him in a catch-22 no matter what you do. He can't win for losing. He can't win for telling the truth, and he not going to win for lying to you. So I ain't about to lie to her. So she might want to stop lying to the world, and she'll stop feeling like everybody lying to her or got some secret. And she might be able to accept people when they telling the truth. and make better decisions. I don't know. I don't know what else to give her.
You on mute, Coach.
Sorry, yeah. I mean, I definitely hear you guys. I mean, Zadie just needs to just follow the truth. You know, I think for her, situationship is a winning thing. I think she wants to. I think she's happy to stay in a situationship, or at least maybe she thinks she's going to be able to win him over. You know what I mean? Over the course of time, maybe she thinks she can win him over. You know, like if she just hits it enough, she gonna win him over. You know what I mean? Like, but in reality, that brother's made up his mind. He ain't gonna win. He ain't gonna bow to her whims. So I think their situation, it's a no-win for her in a sense, and I wish that she would get over it, but she has to learn that lesson. I mean, even Camille told her, but she wouldn't even listen to Camille. There's nobody that can tell Zadia anything in the world. You know, we've all been there. We're all stubborn, including myself. So I know when you're in that space, nobody can tell you nothing. And so for her, she's going to continue doing what she's doing, if I'm honest with you. But okay, let's shift it then. So Ashley and Don, they decided to be what we call quote unquote friends. We're going to be friends across the states lines, and we're going to be pen pals. But she's definitely not moving to NOLA. It doesn't sound like, I think someone said that they agreed that he'll come to Atlanta, I think. Did he agree to that? So he'll come to Atlanta from the NOLA. So, you know, maybe this could be something. I don't have high hopes, but because she said that we're going to work on our friendship, and I'm like, that's some bullcrap, because you was kissing someone in the lips, and I don't need to work on a friendship at that point. Okay, I'm trying to be with y'all. Okay, with y'all. But what's you guys' thoughts on the Ashley and Don situation? How did you guys see it in that respect? Who would like to tackle that first? Who's feeling? Yes, Glenn, you looked up. Sorry.
No, my bad. It's toxic, and Don likes toxic relationships, so he's down for it. He likes the toxicity that she brings, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to keep being there. Because he said all his relationships have been toxic, and he wants to deal with it. Now, of course, somebody points his finger at me and tell me, if you say that, I'll smack you in the face. It's time to go. Right. This is all the stuff that she did. This is all the stuff that she told you that she's willing to do, and she's willing to go in. And you're sitting here, and when she said, I decided to keep you, he should have been like, you know what? I appreciate the offer, but guess what? I don't want to enter into another toxic relationship. So let me gracefully bow out. He didn't do that. So it means he likes toxic, and this is not going to end well. One of them might end up calling Maurice, because somebody's going to need legal counsel after this. Because if she put hands on my bruh, it's gonna be problems, because she hasn't learned anything yet. She hasn't grown, right? We haven't seen Ashley grow on this show at all. She's still the same person that she was when she came on here, and she hasn't grown. And so you will hope somebody to grow and learn from themselves, and she hasn't done that. And the reason she chose Don is because she stopped going on dates with anybody else, right? And Kirsten didn't want her. And Kirsten would wanted her and came back to episode and said, you know what, forgive me, I'm sorry. Let me be with you, and I'll please you and all this. She would have dropped Don and went with Kirsten. But at the end of the day, it's not going to work well. And by the time they come back to the reunion, they probably won't be together at all. At all.
I'll just go ahead and say I pray they're not together at all by the time they come back to the reunion, okay? Because I don't know why she went on and made that choice. What are we doing? Because I'm like, is neither one of y'all listening to each other? He told you that every last one of his relationship got worse as he gone to the next one. So to me, your track record is already not that great. Go find you a couple of good ones, then come back to me or whatever. And she's talking about, I'll punch you in the face. So if you're already at a bad space on relationships and you got a girl threatening you in the courting stages of it, well, what do we expect at the end of this? Okay, either a snap episode, love after lockup, or something else, like, because that's all that's just leading to it. And I hope that this is not the case with these people, but ain't no way you're going to be sitting there telling me you about to pop me in my face and I'm going to be all hung-go about going out with you tomorrow. That's just the craziness to me. So I don't know why she didn't just save face and say, hey, you know, you're not my top choice. I like a certain perspective. I like a certain preference or whatever of people, and you just not it. We tried. We gave it a good go. You know, we could be cool. We could be friends, I guess. Since people don't want to be friends, they don't even need to be that. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, you fighting his friends, so I don't know how y'all gonna be friends. Y'all are fighting the friends already. So I don't know what more we need to be doing here. We need to just go our separate ways. And I kind of wish they'd have chose that instead of she choosing to continue to work on something with him. But here we are. And my nice note to it is that they split amicably and cordially. That's the best I can do for this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just a little disappointed, you know? I'm disappointed because I don't really see growth from Ashley. I don't see her acknowledgement of you know, some of the missteps she's made here. I see Don as somebody that instead of just saying his piece, he let his friend take the L and be a mouthpiece for him. And I think those are all the makings of a not so good beginning. So I don't wish anybody, you know, not to do well. You know, I'm rooting for them, but I don't see this going anywhere good. So, you know, at least nobody's talking about moving. So at least they have some time and space to try to get themselves together, maybe reflect on what happened, and probably realize that they shouldn't be together. So I think that's what I'm thinking. I don't These two should not be together. They both have way too much work. He doesn't have boundaries. Her boundaries are all over the place. She's actually come off not nice. And if you pay attention, she's really been not nice several instances to a couple of different people, just like downright mean. She was mean to Don, you know, she was getting into it. You know, listen, I'm not saying Charisse was the victim, but she was not so nice to her, you know, saying some things like, I'm gonna do what I want to do, you know, and she continues to even say that narrative across social media. That to me is somebody that you can't really talk to people who say, this is who I am, this is what I'm gonna do, you know. Hey, look, then keep doing what you're doing and see if it's gonna work. So I really feel bad because I don't think that's going to be a healthy relationship. And I think if it doesn't work out well, all she's going to do is turn around and she's going to say, Don, this, his friend, I was disrespected. I wasn't treated right. I wasn't uplifted the right way. Y'all are all talking bad about me. So she's never going to learn or listen or be able to grow from it if she has that mindset. So I really want more for her, and to be open and willing to kind of say, hey, listen, let me truly examine myself, not my mate selection, but examine myself.
Yeah, listen, to be honest, I think with the Ashley and Don situation, it's a shame. I don't know. She hasn't. It's such a shame to see it get to that place. But it's again what we're saying is when you don't like somebody, this is what happens. Like when you don't like someone and they're not. She's never been convinced about Don from the very beginning. You know, she hasn't been convinced about him being the person for her. You know. And you know, as you can hear outside, it's never been fireworks between the two of them. So it's just like it's honestly it's honestly been unfortunate for us to watch that process with Ashley and Don, and it's dragged on longer than it needs to. And the fact that Don hasn't vacated the premises is scary to me. Because there's been a few red flags from her. I told you after that TextGate situation, and then you embarrassed me in front of folks, I would have been out. You know, it's funny. I was out yesterday, I was out yesterday and I was dancing, and this lady came up to me and started dancing around me, right? I didn't go to her, she came to me, started dancing around me. You know, we started doing a little dance. Then she walked off. As she walked off, I must have said, "Oh, what's your name?" So she said her name, whatever, and she walked off. As she walked off, she said she works for a particular company. I was like, "Oh, okay, great." She walked off, and then she signaled to the guy. I was like, "But you know when people are drinking sometimes, they can't really tell. They can't always see that they're perception wise." As soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, we don't need to go. You know what I mean? Like if you come back around again, I ain't gonna talk to you. So when she came back around again to talk, I was like, I don't need to know anything else after that. You know what I'm saying to you? See, like when that moment of disrespect happens, you just need to be out. You don't need to give that person a second or third chance, because in all honesty, when people like people, they don't disrespect you on that first go round. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Now, no beef with that lady. It's just it's what it is. You know what I'm saying to you? And that's just a good example of how someone can be in your energy and space, and at the same time really not really be with you. You know what I mean? And I feel that same way with Don and Ashley. It's like, just because Ashley keeps choosing you, Don, doesn't mean that's the one you need to be with. There is too much going on between the two of you. It's stuff that you can't say, stuff that's keeping you in a place where you're in a toxic kind of relationship, almost in a sense, before it's even a relationship. What are we doing? You know what I mean? People are talking about their reaction to if it was, I could potentially hit you. You're absolutely right, Glenn. It's madness to me. Madness. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that needs to be done yesterday. You know what I mean? Don needs to be done yesterday. Go for it, Glenn. I know you got something going.
Yeah, like I think, like I said in the chat, it's boundaries, man. You gotta have boundaries in a relationship, and these are the boundaries you cross. And I'm not dealing with these. When people show you who they are, I think the saying, if people show you who they are, believe them. She already showed you who she was, so at this point, believe it, right? She goes 0 to 60. She wants all this. She's called you a knucklehead. She dropped you over text messages. She gave you a second chance. Let me say, she gave you a second chance. She brought you back. And he didn't veto that second chance. Like if she's willing to drop you over text messages, if she's willing to belittle you and put you down, man, that's not somebody you want to be with. And I really do wish the guys had opportunity to say, you know what, not for me. But all of them just sit there and say, yeah, okay, good, I'll be with you, or I'll deal with it. Like even knowing that the relationship is toxic, because I know his friend probably told her, like, don't mess with this girl. His friend probably told him like, hey, yo, she's toxic. She's not good for you, Don. She's not the one for you. And he kept going through the process, and he's still going through the process. It's not going to end well for neither one of them. So sometimes you got to listen to your friends, and you got to listen to yourself. When you used to toxicity, when you used to toxic relationship, you should recognize the trends and recognize what toxic relationships look like and back away. And for him not to be able to learn that or be able to back away from that yet, it says a lot about him. And for Ashley, if you still got to do the same thing in every relationship you're in, point your finger, cut somebody out, threaten to hit somebody, you shouldn't be involved in that relationship.
Jay or Sean, you can add any more if you want. Go for it.
I don't have anything else.
Sean, anything else?
No, I think, listen, I'm sending healing energy, because I'm sure, I think whenever this time and as we've gotten more acclimated with, the Ready to Love folks, when, this is the season ends, these people are in high defense mode, because now that the full season is aired, they want to defend themselves. We've seen the first clip of the first like maybe 20-30 minutes of the reunion, and then we've got the rest next week, so they're all defensive. So I just need to send healing energy, because Ashley really does concern me. Like, I'm really concerned, because, and it's more so like, it's not like her behavior is the worst behavior in the whole world, but it's the lack of self-awareness. And I think when people exist in a space where they have no self-awareness, or a very limited self-awareness, that is not a good place to be from a relationship standpoint, because you just continue to go, you do a loop of the same events all the time, and you never get off that loop. It's like a reel that just keeps going and going and going. And then you're like, why am I in this place? Because of you. But you don't want to look at you, because the pain of dealing with you means you got to do some substantial changes. And it's not, try a new makeup, try a new hair color. All those things are great and they're going to lift your self-confidence, but it's doing inner work to make substantial changes. And I just don't see it happening. And it, no bueno.
I hear that 100%. All right, last conversation. Obviously, we spoke about this obviously on the previous panel talk we did, but obviously the beef between Vern, Charisse, Ashley, and Zadia. Obviously, which started with Zadia and Charisse. I want to get you guys some thoughts. I know Glenn, you weren't there, so maybe we can get your first thoughts. The situation between Zadia and Charisse. Who's at fault? Who's to blame? Which side do you fall on?
It depends on which beef, because I think the first one, Charisse was at fault. Because that question, the situation with Zadia being out all night came out of nowhere. I think that she was at fault. She didn't have to bring it up, but Zadia didn't have to lie. The second one, I really don't think Zadia was really being messy. I think she saw what she saw, and she was like, "Oh, you kissing LJ? Like, what's going on?" And Charisse became real defensive. Charisse became real defensive in that situation. Now, was there a little bit of pettiness? Might have been a little bit of pettiness there. I think sometimes Zadia does stuff a little bit for the cameras. And I think that was Charisse's biggest issue. Like, why did you have to say this on camera? We could have had this conversation off of camera and I would have told you whatever. But because you put it on camera, now there's going to be a narrative out there that me and LJ are doing whatsoever. And so am I a team anybody? Nah, I'm not on anybody's team. I think they both just as equally wrong as two left shoes. I think they both can't handle each other. I think they both genuinely have issues that they can't get around. Zadia's a liar and Charisse is a hothead. She can't let things slide or let things go. Some things you just, some people you just don't fight with or argue with, right? She didn't give that. And I think Charisse picks her battles because on the part of the reunion we saw, she wasn't giving Vern that type of energy that she gave Zadia. She was kind of late. She started directing her energy to Ashley. But if I had to pick a side, I'd probably be on Charisse's side a little bit because I think Zadia is a little bit messy.
Jay Sean? I know you guys obviously spoke last time, but, maybe you've had a change of heart.
So Sean ain't gonna admit he had a change of heart? Well, I will, okay? I scooched over as much as Ashley did to Charisse on that couch about my stance where Ashley being part of that problem with Charisse. Because as we did watch the tape back afterwards and stuff, I could see where Ashley was being a little aggy. And I would have been annoyed too. Like, girl, get out my space. You too close to me. Stop moving closer right now. I'm beefing with somebody. Back on up. However, I still, hush, Aries, talking about some good. I still hold my stance or whatever. And you know why I'm gonna hold my stance, Aries? Because Charisse needs to elevate to that next level of not being bothered by somebody. She was on that stage fully bothered from the time they started talking to Zadia all the way until they addressed it to her. If she can go ahead, it's a thing with, and I told this to Sean, Charisse is too real. And that's not a problem. I love Charisse for that. I would be a homegirls with Charisse for her realness alone and stuff. But the problem with it is when you go against petty liars, you're never going to win trying to out them on real stuff. You're just not going to do it. So for her, she just needed not to compete because her form of competing against that type of person will have to lower her standards of herself, which means you're going to have to go toe to toe with the lies and keep up with all that BS that person got going on. And she wasn't just going to out Zadia in that moment. So Zadia won the battle for me only because she did what she wanted to do, is out Charisse's personality, as far as you're a hothead, you're quick tempered, you're quick to anger, and you're not listening to nobody. You just get rash and blow up. And Charisse's better move would have been just ignoring Zadia and let her live in her little delusional lies and just go on. Whenever they address something to her and Zadia, whatever, just like, you know what, I'm not speaking on it no more. It is what it is. I still feel like her saying, y'all ganged up on me, it's still a dig at people. And I get what y'all saying. It wasn't directed to nobody, but it's only 4 of us. 3 of us you're talking to. So the gang up part is even if I feel like I didn't gang up, I'm still going to feel like you ganged up. I mean, like you're talking to me in that moment. So if we want to go off the feeling things that she felt ganged up, well, I feel like you're addressing me in this moment. So when I address you back, don't be mad at me because you called me into this fight with you and Zadia or whatnot. So on that regard, I can still see where Ashley and some of her energy was still coming at her about. Was she right in the moment? No, because the girl with them damn fingernails all up in Sheree's face, I get it. And you keep getting inching closer to Sharice. It's like, girl, yes, I'm not about to do all this with you. Get your hands out my face before I have to put you all the way down. So listen, y'all learned that on Basketball Wives. Y'all know which McCullough done told y'all, keep your hands out people's face. So she just need to back up. Ashley needs to back up. Sharice need to not be triggered by people. And yeah, Zadia gonna do what Zadia gonna do and sit over there and tell her lies and smile at everybody like she ain't say no lie. So there's that. So I shifted slightly to the middle on the Ashley part.
We'll take some movement. Listen, unfortunately, Seaway's not here so I'm gonna use her famous line that she quotes from Bartiz. Everybody is right and everybody's a little right and everybody's a little wrong. So that's kind of how I feel about in this particular situation. I don't think that there's anybody that is like, oh, Sharice was completely wronged. Zadia, was totally attacking her. I don't see it that way. I see it as, 2 people who just have really bad ways of dealing with conflict that are going after each other. I do think that Sharice could have handled herself better. She didn't have to lose her cool. But I also do understand how it is to defend yourself when you have multiple people against you and you're trying to defend your point. Because I don't care who amongst us, there may be people that just for whatever we see Sharice, we don't like her, whatever. But just put yourself in the shoes. If you feel like you're right about something and then you got 20 people telling you you're wrong, it's not going to change your opinion. It's actually going to make you more upset. Especially when, they're trying to adamantly tell you you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Your opinion's not going to change. All right. So I do understand that point. I do understand from Zadia's standpoint, there was no need for Sharice to unleash that information about where she was late at night, just the same way as she didn't like Zadia bringing up that information about the kiss with her and LJ on camera and putting it out there in that way. Sharice didn't need to do that, right? So it's which came first, the chicken or the egg? In Sharice's mind, they had settled this beef, but it wasn't settled. And that was the mistake Sharice made. She forgot that that Zadia had not, she didn't let it go. And there was in no way, there was there was nothing other than to be messy than to bring that information out when she did, and then trying to cover it again and say like, oh, some people just don't understand my jokes. I've never seen her to be a jokester. I'm sorry. She's not a jokester. Zadia, stop it. So that's my thoughts about it. I really don't think that the both of them, there was any right or wrong person. I think they both were being messy and they both just
okay, Sean. Now I done slid over a little bit on the couch with Ashley and stuff, and now you want to sit here and stay. You don't think there was nobody wrong?
What do you mean?
How is everybody got a little wrong and everybody is not wrong now? How is this working?
I'm saying that Sharice was wrong for the way she handled herself in terms of going off and flipping out. She was 100% wrong for her reaction. She should have remained calm. And I'm saying that I could understand the fact that how she was upset because there's multiple people telling her she's wrong, and then she got Ashley getting in her face. So what would you like me to move on? What should I change my opinion about?
No, at the very end, you talking about nobody is wrong in this. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
No,
Like,
no,
so
no. I said there's nobody that I can say like somebody's right and somebody's wrong. You get what I'm saying? Where we can say, you know, in certain scenarios, hey, I think Charisse was wrong. No, I don't think she was 100% wrong in the scenario, but I don't think she was 100% right either. So it's a complex situation because you got people that don't handle conflict well. So it's not like it's going to be a clear, in my opinion, it's going to be clear like, oh yeah, Charisse was the victim in this particular instance. I don't think she was a victim. You know, I think some things happened to her where she was, you know, she was kind of sidelined, but she's not the victim, and she also overreacted.
great. And I'm glad Eris says she riding with you because y'all both moved an inch closer to us too. Thank you. Thank you both for taking that ride.
Oh,
Appreciate
yeah, you
you.
too much.
Appreciate you. I like when we all move closer to each other. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate y'all. And she was not backed into a corner, Aries. Do you stop trying to give her that?
Yes, she was.
If anything, she backed herself into the daggone corner. She threw them people up in there. So if she didn't want to go toe to toe with everybody, she shouldn't have brought everybody in.
I think she was just talking about her feelings. I don't think there's anything wrong with you telling somebody how you feel. And I think that to me is where I'm kind of empathizing with Charisse, because if somebody feels something, yeah, you can talk through my feelings with me and say, well, hey, I don't see that was it. But if I feel like everybody is ganging up on me, I have a right to feel that way, right? Because when I was talking about the whole Simone Biles thing, right, and I was by myself literally, and I felt ganged up on at the time, but I mean, I'm not going to lose my mind about it. I'm not going to go crazy. And that's where I think Charisse should have just reeled it back in. But yeah, you can feel ganged up on. Now, technically, was I being ganged up on and everybody was screaming and yelling at me? No. But when you're one single person that feels a way about something and everybody feels differently and they're coming at you with strong opinions, you can't say the person doesn't feel ganged up on. That's just how she felt. Now, I don't see Charisse as somebody saying, oh, I'm the victim, feel bad for me. She doesn't even care like that. She's just saying like, hey, listen, there were times when I wasn't, you know, I was left to myself.
Okay, so when they say I feel ganged up on, and we proceed to tell you I did not gang up on you. And then you're like, yes, I did. Yes, you did. It's no longer a feeling.
It's still a feeling.
No, it's no longer a feeling. When you're telling me that I did, and I told you I did not gang up on you, that was not an intent on anything I did. It's no longer a feeling. You're telling me I did.
It's still the way I felt, and you're telling me the way I'm feeling is wrong. So we're just going to have a difference of opinion. It's a matter of opinion. Feelings are how somebody interprets your actions. It's what that made me feel on in the inside. You may not have intended to gang up on me, right? Just like you may say something that hurts my feelings. It wasn't your intention, but it's how I felt. It's how I interpreted the words that you said. So it's very difficult to tell somebody, oh, you felt wrong. It's like, well, okay, all right, thank you. Now I see it your way. I didn't feel that way. That's not how feelings happen. You know, like it takes a lot. It's not going to happen on a reunion stage. I can tell you for that much, but it takes a while and explaining, and then people have to calmly talk to you and say, hey, listen, this is the scenario. This is what happened. Let me give you some examples. But Ashley screaming, Vern scolding, that ain't going to change Charisse. I'm just saying, it's not going to make her feel less ganged up on. It actually embodies the same behavior that she's saying she felt.
If that's the case, if she felt that behavior and it's embodying that, that's the first thing that should come out of my mouth is, see, this is what I'm talking about right here. Instead of jumping up out my seat and running to escape this room, have escaped the conversation. If you're ganging up on me or whatever, and you're talking irate, I don't have to match your energy. I can see what you're doing right now. This is what I'm talking about. I'm showing you an example of what I'm talking about. This is what made me feel this way. This behavior right here. As adults, that's what we have to do. This right here. Because if you could tell me you have feel any type of thing, I can't tangibly obtain your feelings. I can't hold your feelings for you. So you have to show me an example of what is making you feel this way if you want me to change that behavior. You getting up, running away in the moment does not help me help you fix that problem. So if that's the case, she has to sit through that process and sit there and say, hey, this is what I'm talking about, ladies. When I speak, all of y'all jump in. We didn't see any of that for the incident that she's referring to in the kitchen. They didn't agree with her, no. Did they isolate her? No. She has boundaries. Her boundaries isolated her. She did say she's okay with it. I get that. But if you're sitting here making it seem like we isolated you because of your boundaries, that's her words. I felt isolated. They isolated me. No, sis, you isolated yourself. Don't be putting all of this on me because of your feelings. If I'm not actually doing something that you can physically say that I'm doing to you, or if you're not going to correct me in this moment, sometimes your feelings are just like you're being sensitive. And it sounds hard to say that to people or whatever. And I know we're supposed to take people's feelings into account, but you have to like actually provide evidence of it. Otherwise, it's just taken as you're being sensitive because it's the room and the atmosphere is not in your favor. And unfortunately for Sharice, that's what it comes off as. You threw these other bodies up in here. Now they're ganging up on you. These two people were minding their business like they said they was doing the time that you and Zadia was going at it in the kitchen. So show me a time that I ganged up on you. Show me what I did to make you feel like you was ganged up on you if you want me to correct any of that. I don't have to keep coming at you positively when you're telling me I'm doing things to make you feel some type of way. Why do I have to speak to you calmly when you're now making me feel some type of way? See how that feeling thing keeps going back and forth? So for me, it's like, it's hard for me to sit here and just give Sharice all this grace when I know Sharice knows how to communicate. And she has to allow that hot head of hers to cool down and just have conversations with people when they're making her feel some type of way. Because now you're turning around, making other people feel some type of way, and it's a snowball effect going down. But at the end of the snowball effect, you get hit with the last ball, and now you're mad. Everybody ganged up on you. Everybody hit you with something. Everybody did something to you. You forgot how this all started. Once again, it's all started because you decided to open your mouth about Zadia's business. No.
And that's where, we're on the same page. That's why, and again, that's why I think this is such a, there's so many layers to this. Sharice is I don't think she's a victim in any of this at all. So for anybody that's hearing my perspective, I just want to make it plain. I don't think she's a victim. I do see that there were things that she did and said in the scenario that contributed to the things that happened. Specifically, she shouldn't have mentioned the whole thing about where Zadia was or where she suspected that she was, and then doubling down on it, saying what she overheard, her about Zadia and Cam. All that stuff is messy, messy, messy. So when you get in the weeds and you get into the thick of things like that, that's what's going to come along with it. So I'm 100% with that. And I think Zadia played dirty. And I think the girls, they got involved too. Because Vern was talking long before Sharice even said the ganged up. Vern got to pointing her finger and having some conversation about interjecting on parts of things that were transpiring. So I just think that, hey.
What part was Vern saying anything? She didn't say anything until she said she was ganged up on.
No, she didn't. She was talking before that. She was actually addressing. So I don't remember exactly what it was, but she was talking. And she was calling out something that transpired between either Zadia and Sharice or something specific to Sharice. And Sharice didn't say anything in that moment. It was about 30 seconds after that. That's when she said, I also felt ganged up on. So it's like, hey, look, I think you also got to give people the right to have an opinion, and people get so worked up about what somebody says. If you really cared, right? If you really cared about what the person is saying, take a step and ask them a question before you jump to conclusions and start defending yourself. And I did this and I did that and I did this. Because really, in a relationship, that's not going to work either. Because if your partner tells you, hey, listen, I felt ganged up on, or I felt like you didn't take my side when we were having this conversation with a group of people, and then you immediately go to, well, no, I didn't, and I always do, and I did it here, and I always try to do, that's going nowhere, because you're invalidating the person's feelings. And I think that's what people miss, is like, yeah, from your perspective, maybe you don't feel like you were doing that, but this is how the person interprets your feelings. And I think that's something that is that next step level of having an understanding and being empathic towards other people, is giving them the ability to have their opinion and flesh it out. Let's talk through it. But if I immediately jump to, no, I didn't do that, it goes nowhere, because now the both of you are defensive. You're never going to get to the meat of the matter, because all you're doing is defending yourself. So that's where I think they were wrong for just jumping down her throat immediately off of one thing that she said, without giving her a chance to explain it, without hearing her out, but immediately defending and ganging up on her. So that's the part that I'm still going to stick to. I don't think that's an effective way to handle when somebody tells you something that you disagree with.
Yeah, I think you gotta agree with people. When people don't want to talk, let them not talk. When she said she didn't want to deal with the conversation, I know it's a reality show. She's trying. That's her coping mechanism. I don't want to deal with this because I know I go 0 to 60. Right? I'm trying not to look this certain type of way. I'm trying not to deal with this. Let me be alone. I got it. I agree with your point. Y'all agree with your point. I got it. Let's move on. Walking off the stage, let me walk off and get myself together, because I don't want to do this. I'm tired of doing this. And I believe when she said she was tired of doing this, she was tired of doing this. She's tired of going back and forth. She was really ready to let it go. But she also has to sit there and listen when there's some criticism coming her way, or when there's some things, because people be in the same situation and everybody sees it differently, right? And she saw the situation differently, and now she responded to what she saw. Were they attacking her? No, they were trying to get her to calm down. But at certain points, and her lifestyle and her trigger is kind of like Oprah Winfrey in Color Purple. I got to fight every day. If I had to fight my daddy, fight my mama. Sharice had to fight everybody in her life, and so now she's feeling attacked by everybody when you don't agree with her, and so she's feeling attacked. And so when you feel attacked, or you feel like you're back in the corner, that's where she lashes out, right? And that's how she's been lashing out the whole time. She lashes out at everybody when you don't agree, or when she sees things a certain way, or when she feels that she's 100% right, and so she feels she's 100% right in the situation. And were they ganging up on her? No. Her perception was they was ganging up on her because they were all trying to get her to calm down. And that's something that she doesn't want people to do when she's in that situation. So Sharice has to understand there are some people who genuinely like her and want to be friends with her. But when you get Ashley and her back and forth, then you had her and Zadia back and forth. And Ashley has no coof already anyway. So now you got two hotheads going back and forth. Nobody can get a word in edgewise. And it just wasn't a good look for none of the ladies at that point, because they all kind of hotheads and to move on. So it's not good.
I think personally it's quite interesting how Sharice responds to Vern to how she responds to Zadia. Just going to say it. I don't want to say anything else, but I just want to be aware that she does not respond to Vern the same way she responds to Ashley, or the way she responded to Zadia. Now, call it whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to say it again. She never responded the exact same way, because Vern actually was the first one to pop off. And Vern let her know right from the bat, what you're saying is wrong, right? And then it went on to Ashley. And actually, Vern responded after Sharice had said about y'all, I feel the way I feel. Now, here's my thing with I feel. I believe it's great terms to use I feel, because it doesn't necessarily lay the blame. But what you don't get to do is say I feel and you don't listen. You don't get to say you must be able to understand how I feel when you don't listen to other people. You actually don't get that. You don't get that grace and that privilege, right? You get to say I feel when you are a person who listens to other people and their feelings. So when she's saying I feel, hey, we should be all good with it, I don't give a heck about your feelings either, because you don't give a heck about my feelings. Right? You had the opportunity to listen to Zadia and how she felt. And in fact, it's the second time she invalidated Zadia's feelings. Because actually, Zadia was the first person to bring I feel, which was the first few episodes when she said to her, I feel like, she said those words to her when there was an argument about the door situation. And Sharice shut her all the way down. So how do we expect us and the crew to be like, oh my God, like you say, I feel right now, and we just believe what you're saying. And you did it again on the reunion where you cut her off again once more when she was telling you how she felt. And when Tamika was trying to tell you, hey, listen up, open your ears and listen, she didn't want to do that. So I don't have the sympathy nor the empathy. We don't get to put Sharice in victim role that she got ganged up upon and how you feel about the situation when you don't listen to anybody else. You're getting ganged up upon because you don't listen. And that part has to be explained. It should not be left on its own to be extradited from the actual situation. Do you know what I'm saying to you? The reason why you're in a situation where people are trying to tell you to listen is because you're not listening. And so now you've not just got the three girls, you've got Tamika, the host, and the other woman trying to tell you, hey, just listen, let them speak. You're not even letting people finish. You told people you don't even care. So why would I care about how you feel? Right? Why would I care about something that you don't want to practice yourself? So you don't get to play that victim role. You don't get to have that sympathy. You don't get to have that empathy for me in that immediate moment because you don't know how to practice that yourself. So you can walk off the stage all you want. I'm going to call it manipulative because you can't actually do the basics. If Sean is talking, I'm going to listen to Sean and be like, all right, cool. I'm going to disagree with you though. And I might say, yes, how I feel. Actually, I felt like this. Now, Sean can say I felt ganged up on that particular panel because he listens. Now, if you weren't listening, Sean, nobody would give a heck what you said about I feel. We wouldn't even care. We wouldn't even care if you said I feel, Sean. If Sean would be like, you can say how you feel. We don't care. But because you listen to other people and you bring other people into the conversation, because you're patient with other people, because you're able to have a conversation with people, that is why when you say, I felt like I was a little bit ganged up at the moment, people might be like, okay, do you know what? Let's maybe maybe we should look at it from a different point of view. The reality of the situation is you're going to always feel ganged up if you're saying an opinion that most people don't agree with. If I say something on this channel now and the majority of people don't agree with it, right? You're going to feel ganged up. Now, when it came to the Kirsten and the Kirsten and the whatchamacallit situation, Kirsten and Ashley situation, majority of people disagreed with me on the panel and off the panel. I didn't necessarily feel ganged up because at the end of the day, I knew I had an opinion that was unpopular. It is what it is. You get what I'm saying to you? So I'm not going to back Sharice in that moment because we're forgetting the vital components to that conversation and how we got there. You literally talk about how you feel, but you invalidated somebody else's feelings. Literally, the person was trying to explain to you how they felt about the situation and you invalidated it right in front of our faces on camera. And we're forgetting that and going, well, she said how she feels, so why is everyone jumping in? They're jumping in because how dare you? How dare you? You know what I'm saying to you? And so whilst I do believe Ashley would have extended the situation too far because her energy took it to the left, I still think Sharice used it as an out. I'm gonna be honest with you, right? Because you could have got up and said, I'm not dealing with this when Vern said something, but you ain't gonna do that. The same reason when Vern went after Mizell, you ain't say nothing again. So is that who you have energy for? And that's why I called it. I do understand why Zadia said she's bullying her. Because targeting somebody is bullying, Sean. And you don't need to. And again, the person doesn't have to express vulnerability. They don't have to express that they would anything. At work, someone can try to bully me, right? And I may not feel intimidated. I may not feel no type of way, but you tried to bully me, right? Remember, that's how Zadia feels. So we got to accept it, right? Since Sharice's feelings is the one that's going to be trump card in this situation, if she feels like she's being bullied, then now we have to accept it. Since Sean is telling us we've got to accept the fact that Sharice feels some type of way, well then Sharice should accept that she might feel like a bully, and she should not also discredit the fact that she feels that way. See, if everything goes into feelings about being the truth of what it is, people will get offended, of course. Of course we're going to feel offended, right? Because we're all going to use I feel like I was being bullied too. What's going to happen then? So, of course, then if Sharice then corrects her, it's not a problem if she corrects her. I wouldn't be angry if Sharice corrected her and said, you know what, that's not correct because I didn't bully you, right? You may feel that way, but I never bullied you. So it shouldn't be a problem that they're correcting her and saying to you, you say you feel like you've been ganged up. Baby, you weren't even joining in the group tasks. What do you want us to do? Like, you know what I'm saying to you? So for me personally, again, I'm not saying Zadia is innocent. She lied about the fact that she said the thing about the kiss of LJ. She lied. She absolutely blatantly lied. A full-on blow lie. Can't lie to you. Right? She knew when she said that kiss of LJ, she lied. She said it with two intentions. Number one, she was trying to say something about the fact that Sharice was talking about Ashley. I don't think she liked that, right? But number two, you knew you were throwing a shot in there because you didn't need to say that on camera. So she definitely threw a shot at her, and she needs to accept that. So when energy comes her way too, Zadia, she can't pretend as if she doesn't know what happened. I don't like that. You throw stones and you don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. No, that you don't get to play that role either. You know what I'm saying to you? But I definitely ain't giving Sharice a pass and be like, when you say I feel, when you don't know how to accept someone else's I feel, that's crazy to me. You know what I mean? Absolutely ludicrous. I can see Sean is ready for me. Actually, he gonna tell me how I feel.
Are you done?
Go for
I
it.
just want to know if you're done.
Are you invalidating my feelings? Are you?
No, I would never
John,
do
say
that.
that. Are you done with the
I know you're
accent
joking,
from? Say it with the
What
accent
accent?
from Black Panther. Are you done?
I can't even put it together, Jay, because my head is like, I feel like marbles running around in my head right now. So listen, I'm glad you got your steam off, and I totally hear what you're saying. My point is around exercising empathy for Sharice in that moment is just down to basic human nature. It's not making Sharice the victim. And I've tried to say that several times so that everybody understands. I'm not painting her as a victim. I'm saying that what happened in that scenario, it's very difficult for somebody to really express themselves when you have multiple people that are saying the opposite of what you're saying. So I just know that is a tough spot to be in. And we don't only exercise empathy, by the way, for people that are nice to us or people that do what we want them to do. We also exercise empathy by understanding somebody's position. Because truly, it's when when the person doesn't agree with us and we open up the floor to kind of see it from their perspective is when we learn. If we only do nice things for people that do nice things to us, then that gets us nowhere, right? Sometimes we have to also take the side of somebody that, is not always the nicest of us for the greater good. Again, I don't think Sharice is a victim. I don't think Sharice is totally being, taken advantage of in this situation. I really don't. And I don't think neither is Zadia. And I think it's a huge reach to say that Zadia was being bullied, because this woman is a force to be reckoned with, and she is running all up and down that house. She's actually running the house.
However,
Okay,
that's how she feels. So we have to accept it.
I'm telling you my opinion. And my opinion
and
is,
that's what the ladies did.
And exactly. So I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm saying I don't see Zadia as a bully. And this is why I don't see that she was bullied. Because she continuously is going after Sharice. She continuously, it's like if Sharice said she was being bullied, I wouldn't believe that either, because those two are opponents going back and forth with each other. All right. So you guys want to play the game. You want to play semantics. Oh, she feels bullied, so it's okay for her to feel bullied.
Then you play that game, that feeling game.
Jay, come on, cut it out. Because at the end of the day, the conversation will go nowhere. We'll just continue to circle the drain. And I think then let's not even have a conversation, because it's going to be, oh, I feel this and I feel that and I feel this. Come on. I'm talking simply about the fact that I'm not saying she was right or wrong in her feelings about feeling ganged up on, but by everybody chiming in and then also yelling at her when they're trying to prove their points, it's not going to change her point. It's just going to put somebody in their defensive. It's going to just continue to put somebody in a defensive stance.
So before I let Phil and Mr. VIP go, so where is that grace for Zadia? Because I'm hearing a lot of grace and empathy and understanding for Sharice. Where is that same thing for Zadia? Because Sharice was the first one to cut off somebody else. So where is that same grace for Zadia? I'm not hearing it from you, Sean. I haven't heard it from you.
So what should I have for Zadia? In what instance?
The same grace you have for Sharice.
I said, and I've been saying from the beginning, that Sharice should not have brought up what took place or what she thought took place between Cameron and her. She should never have brought that into play. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she should
I
not be bringing up.
I want to
those
hear
things.
empathy. I want to hear empathy for also how she felt like she could have been bullied. I want to hear that empathy the same way you did, the same way you were able to empathize with her being ganged up on in that moment, which I don't think Sharice can be ganged up upon when she's such a strong candidate
I haven't
with a
seen
criminal
an
record.
example of her.
I don't think she
being
can be ganged
bullied.
up upon because that's what you did. Because what essentially you did was, I don't think she can be bullied. I don't feel like she can be bullied. I'm going to negate that because I feel this way about Zadia. So I'm going to do what you just did. I don't think Sharice can be ganged up upon because she's got a criminal record. And to be honest, that criminal record is also with violence. I've seen her stand up to Zoe, who was much bigger and stronger than her, and she didn't allow that man to intimidate her. There's no way she can be ganged up by anybody else. No way. No way. I don't care how she feels. That's essentially what you just did with Zadia. And I'm saying to you, where is that grace for Zadia when she said she felt like she was being bullied? You haven't given it yet. So please give me that grace for Zadia too. I want to hear it.
Kojo, now you're talking about Sharice's criminal record. We're talking about specific.
I'm saying what I'm telling you how you invalidated. No, I'm giving you how you invalidated her. No, I'm telling you. This is how you invalidated her.
You're talking about things from outside of the context of the show.
No, it doesn't matter whether it's outside the show or not. You are given context based on what you've seen of Zadia in the show, regardless, right? This is fact. Is she not? No, wait, hold on. Is it not fact that it's a criminal case with her being violent? It's not fact.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with what we're talking about on this show.
But it's added information to how you view the person because you're using the information, whatever you saw on the show, to make a statement.
Zadia has done in this instance too.
We can. That's the whole point.
Up to Carrie's house and fighting her, and wanting to fight that girl, and being a bully her own self. So we can talk about that too. Okay.
Yes. But that's what you factor in the background.
That's the whole
of
point.
Why you feel like Zadia is not being bullied.
Exactly. So
thank you, Sean. Okay, exactly.
That's why I don't feel like she's a bully.
That's why you don't feel like she's a bully. Exactly. Thank you, Sean. That's what Kojo's saying. But you don't give that grace.
You don't give her no grace.
But I don't understand. We have just started this whole conversation about Zadia feeling bullied. You know, the bulk of this conversation has been around Sharice and Sharice being ganged up on. And now you want to pivot to me showing her some grace about being bullied? Fine.
Because you made your whole
Maybe
statement
she
about
felt bullied.
being graceful.
Maybe she felt bullied. And what? That doesn't mean anything.
Sean can't do it.
She felt
you can't do it, Sean. And what? And what? And what?
At the end of the day, you want to make this about something that it's not. My point is, I really don't see either one of them as being a victim in the scenario.
Okay.
And I think that they both need to take accountability and have better behavior. I can understand in the scenario where Sharice felt like she was being ganged up on because there were multiple people saying that she was doing something, then she didn't feel like she was doing that way. That's my point. Whether Zadia was bullied or not, I don't think it happened. If she felt like she was bullied, hey, maybe she did.
Here's the fun fact, though, Sean. People didn't make Sharice feel like she was doing anything. They sat there. She said, they ganged up on me. And Vern jumped in and said, I never ganged up on you. I never said anything to neither one of y'all. So that's not making Sharice feel like she did anything. Then Ashley turned around and told her the same thing. Like, we stayed out of it. I didn't do anything to you. So where are they making her feel like anything for her to sit there and say, y'all ganged up on me? Nobody did that to her. You're sitting here telling us that they told her in this moment that when they ganged up on her, telling her what she did wrong and all that. They didn't tell her. They just telling her to listen.
They didn't just tell her to listen, Jay. They were telling her they were wrong.
Vern specifically told her. Vern specifically told her in that moment, I did not gang up on you. I sat there and stated my case. I give her the same treatment that I give you. I tell you both when you're wrong and this, that, and the third. You both get the same treatment for me. You're telling me for your feelings, you felt ganged up on, and I'm telling you, I didn't have no intentions of making you feel ganged up on. I played equal sides to both of you. I told you both how you feel or whatever. And you switched it from Vern. And you went over to Ashley. You didn't ever address Vern in that moment and say, well, no, you didn't make me feel like this, but these two, she could have easily did that. These two made me feel like that. These two did this to me. But she didn't do that. She didn't address none of that. She said in her feelings, and she didn't address none of that. She just used Ashley as that quick out, which I agree, because you swinging them damn nails a little too close to my eyeballs. But she used Ashley as a quick out and was like, I'm not about to do this anymore. Let me get up and run up out of here. Because the feelings are not fact. She has no actual evidence of them ganging up on her in the kitchen to go by. If she had that, she could have sat there in that moment and said, as soon as I said, let's go ahead and not have these people on me, both of y'all jumped in. It was this, that. Y'all said this or whatever, because you're not going to forget that. Charisse is not the type of person who's going to forget when a person crossed her. She didn't forget all her season. She's not going to forget now. So
we're just going to continue to circle the drain on this, because you guys are not going to hear what I'm saying, and I'm not going to hear what you're saying. Because I think what happens is, and this is just a great example of this is exactly what took place on that stage, but it's a more heightened environment where you're going to hear what you want to hear. And Kojo, you're going to come up with, your own narrative to try to defend your point, and the same thing that I'm going to do. I'm not going to change my mind. I don't care what you say. I don't care how you feel like you backed somebody into a corner. I don't care. I don't agree with what you're saying. And I think that at the end of the day, you can't reduce that they were just saying to listen. They said a bunch of things to her, to Charisse, Vern did, as well as Ashley, that they said she was wrong about being ganged up on, and they were disproving her point by saying, well, this is what I did. Nobody's going to listen in that moment because they feel the way they feel. Just like the way I feel the way I feel, I'm going to hear what I want to hear, and I'm going to stick to my opinion. And there's nothing that you're going to do to change that. So the only way that, and when we've always had heated exchanges like this with the panel, when we are at a very different polar opinions, is behind the scenes, when we're able to calmly say, oh, hey, listen, this is what I was trying to say. Oh, yeah, this is what I was trying to say. Because you have the audience, you have us, you have multiple people having opinions. It gets hot and nobody's listening. So that just proves that nobody's going to hear what anybody says. And that's simply my point, is she's not going to listen to them because it's a heightened environment.
But that wasn't my point, was it, Sean? My point wasn't about listening. My point was, why wouldn't you give Zadia grace? But I don't want to take over because I want the other two get in there, and then we'll continue our blow to blow. Okay? Pause. But Phil, go for it. Me and Sean are getting hot underneath the collar a little. But what's your opinion? What's your thoughts?
Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year's to you all. I'm enjoying this great tussle from the gentlemen. I'm going to say that, one, I think both women were being manipulative on the stage. I think Zadia was being manipulative by using the word bully. You're not the type of woman to get bullied. So why would you say she was being bullied? However, Sean, Charisse also initiated that whole blow up with all the ladies. I think Charisse didn't want to talk about that situation with Zadia. And you can't get on stage and say, well, I don't want to talk about this. Well, this is the reunion. This is what we do at reunions. You've been on this show before. We're going to talk about things that happen on the show. Of course, we're going to talk about this situation. I think where Charisse made the mistake was she was outsmarted by Zadia. Zadia didn't yell. She stayed cool, calm, and collected. She didn't use profanity or anything. Charisse was the one not listening and had to be told by the host, hey, let her finish her point. And then when Charisse included the other ladies, that's where Charisse made her big mistake. You didn't have to say, well, I felt ganged up on by the women in the house. You're not having a fight with the women in the house. You're having a discussion with Zadia. She should have kept it between Zadia and not included Vernisha and Ashley. Once you include those women, you can't get mad at their response because they weren't involved in that fight, but yet you included them in that fight. So when they say, hey, I don't agree with that statement, maybe they could have said it better. They could have said it better. I'm not going to say maybe. They could have said it better. But you have to take accountability that you included everybody else instead of just keeping it between you and Zadia. Was Ashley too hype? Yes, she definitely was too hype. You know, the whole, you need to go for a walk. She did too much. Yes, she did too much. But Sharice, you have to take accountability. When you're having a discussion with one woman, keep it between you and that one woman. Don't add the other ladies in it because they didn't have to be involved in it. But then I also have to say, Sharice, maybe you felt a little left out because the ladies couldn't trust you because you snitched on one of them for no reason. I'm not going to want to be hanging around you kind of tough if you're going to go back and be a snitch and tell the principal, hey, they're staying out late or they having boys over and they didn't even have a boy over. So you got to kind of I just kind of wanted Sharice to take some accountability for her actions. You don't have to like Zadia, but in that moment, she could have had a discussion. And what she didn't want to do is have the discussion. She kept running from the discussion. And the fact that Zadia stayed calm, cool, and collected, she outsmarted you. She manipulated you and she outsmarted you. So Sharice, I'm sorry, she has to take an L for how she acted on that stage. And how she acted on that stage was a fool. And that's all I got. Go ahead, Mr. VIP, because I don't want to get in this tussle.
Okay. Listen, all of you mentioned like so many different factors that affected what happened on the stage, right? Now, like all of you are right. I think the problem with this situation is Sharice and Zadia are very quick to get hostile or instigate something and then quickly hide their hands and be the victim. All right, in milliseconds they can do that, and because they butt heads so frequently, it's unnerving for Sharice. It looks like when she's in confrontation. So she tried to bring back up. She tried to ask the other girls to back her up, and they were like, "Nah." And even before that, the reason why she didn't want to have that conversation is because she knew that she instigated that whole thing by grassing, by snitching on Zadia. Now, the thing is, Zadia didn't bring any guys into the house. She stayed at Cam's house and came in late. So she technically didn't violate any of the rules that were set, right? And it was Sharice that set that rule. So Zadia, like, she lied about where she was. And that's where she needs to take accountability, because she's a grown woman that can pay her bills, like she said. She don't need to hide behind lies and fabricate what she was really doing. But I also see her point. It's none of their business. And I secretly think that Sharice was hating on Zadia for having a connection so early where she can feel comfortable staying out. That's what I really think it was. Because at the time, Sharice didn't have nobody. She wasn't feeling Maurice initially for the first few weeks, even sent him home. So I think there was a little bit of haterade being drank by Sharice in that moment. And I do think that Ashley was doing too much on the stage, but that's what we've come to know. Like, she gets into these situations where she'll get amped up as well and go overboard. So, yeah, Sharice Smith felt bullied, but that's because she tried to pull the other girls in. And if they had sided with her, then she would have definitely held her position and tried to make Zadia feel alienated from the group. When Zadia is explaining how she was feeling, Sharice didn't even want her to get her words out. She kept cutting her off. And that must have been quite triggering as well, right? So, yeah, I think all the points you guys made contributed to this combustible element that we saw on the stage. And there's no right or wrong. Like, they all got dirty hands. They've all got filthy hands. And because they got filthy hands, they can't so easily play the victim in the situation.
No beef is beefing. Aries, I know what side Aries falls on, and that's actually really good. It means we can have a balanced conversation.
Y'all are killing me. I'm over here ready. I'm like, my fingers are going crazy right now in this chat. So, yes, you know what I'm going to say. I just feel like, and I said this the last little time, people just don't like Sharice. And I feel like that is what's being used, especially you, Kojo. You are really you're doing the most right now. Because if y'all are actually, again, I'm going to put this out there again. I don't know any of these ladies, okay? Like, yes, I'm a part of the franchise, whatever, but like, I'm just, for the sake of this argument and acting like these are just some like random whatever things on, stuff on TV. Y'all can't sit here and act like y'all just really was sitting there believing Zadia, like that whole act. If you were a part of the house and you had beef with this lady, and even though she's sitting there calm, do not act like y'all just was really like buying that. Like, Sharice is like, girl, whatever. I'm not trying to hear nothing you're trying to say right now. So I'm not saying that anybody was right for how they handled it, because no, you should be able to sit there and let the person say their thing, and all that. But if you got somebody who you've been beefing with and they're sitting there trying to act all like victim, innocent, you're like, child, I'm not trying to hear nothing you saying right now, and that's how she handled it in the beginning. I'm with y'all on that. She shouldn't have handled it like that, right? But I feel like we're not necessarily putting ourselves in the shoes of what's going on in the situation, knowing that beef that they have, right? So of course she's not going to want to hear what she has to say. But when Ashley got hyped or whatever, when Sharice was saying that she felt ganged up on, and that's why I kept play the clip in the chat, because I feel like people are kind of forgetting how that came out. It wasn't like she was just like, Vern and Ashley ganged up on me. She didn't say that. Tamika asked a question, she answered it. I did feel ganged upon. And Ashley blew her fuse at that point, and Vern added her part to it. But Ashley was the one who kept it going. So she's asking that girl politely to not talk to her like that. Like, okay, like if I'm letting you know that I'm about to be on 10 if you don't stop, like, talking crazy, because I'm trying to be cool. I've been sitting here telling y'all I don't want to really talk about it, but I'm gonna sit here and talk about it. And if you're gonna act crazy, now you about to make me go to 100. So I feel like that's really all that this is about. It's not about like, oh, Sharice is the victim and she's, nobody's a victim. She's not. I don't feel like she got bullied. I don't feel like Zadia got bullied. I feel like two people who got that same kind of energy came for each other and was playing tit for tat this whole time. So I'm not saying that either one is a victim. I'm just specifically speaking on this like scene of the reunion where Ashley went way too far, and I feel like she could have there was nothing that she thought she was doing that was going to actually bring positivity in that moment. It was not going to calm her down. It was not going to do none of that. You could see Sharice literally building up to her that blow up when she's telling her, you need a breather. Like, see, it was triggering me. So I'm like, I was seeing it like build. I'm like, see, now you're doing too much. Like, get me away from this girl. Like, I would have been feeling the exact same way. Get me the hell away from this girl, because she about to make me really pop off. And I'm over here trying to be cute because I got my little man backstage and I'm trying to show him that I changed. But y'all up here pushing me bringing me back to Miami. And now, like, that's how I feel like she was trying to be cool. And I'm not saying that. Again, I just keep reiterating, I have no reason to be biased. I have no reason to, like, I don't know either one of these people. I just think that nothing was exactly, something that you could just be like, oh yeah, they're both, she's a victim, or the other one is a victim. Like, nobody's a victim, like neither one. It was a bunch of crap that should have never happened from the beginning. But that particular piece is kind of where I was like, I could see where she was coming from on just the blow up piece.
I have a quick question.
Go for it, Phil.
So I heard you, Aries, and I love your point of view, but what was Zadia's response supposed to be to Sharice? Because if she was calm, cool, and collected, she's being fake. If she's being loud and hostile, she's being a bully. So what was Zadia's response was supposed to be on the stage? But I do agree with you that Ashley definitely escalated that situation. But if Sharice was being herself, then Ashley being over the top and dramatic, she's being herself as well. And then, like you said, Tamika did ask her how did she feel, but that was only after Sharice made the point to say she felt ganged up on, or isolated, whichever word she used, by the women. So again, Sharice included the other women into the situation where she should have just kept it between her and Zadia.
I think there were two different scenarios, right? Like she talked about how she brought up a couple of different moments where she was like, yeah, there were times that I felt isolated, but I was okay with that. Like she may have isolated herself, right? Like she's saying that because of, and I think you even brought that point up, like maybe there were things where she's like, hey, I don't agree with certain things, so I may isolate myself. And maybe they isolated her because of her feelings about certain things where they knew she probably not going to want to do this, or whatever. And that's why she was like, and I'm cool with it. Like, I'm fine with that. But she didn't even get to explain what she meant by feeling ganged up upon, because it could have been either on the stage or was this at the house. We don't know because we didn't even get to that point because Ashley lost it at that point. I'm not even saying Zadia needed to do anything. She didn't have to say nothing at that point because Ashley and Vern basically took over. So she didn't really have to say anything. I'm not saying that Zadia needed to do anything at that point. I think Zadia bringing it all up, saying like I was a victim of her, whatever. That was just some. I just can't buy that whole piece of it. Like she was just under attack from her the whole time. I don't know. I just don't buy that. That's just me personal. That's my personal opinion. But because Sharice hasn't said that she didn't say she felt bullied by Zadia the whole time either, right? So neither one. I just don't feel like that was the case. I think they both were just doing too much tit for tat. But in that
Right, but
specific moment, we didn't really get to hear what Sharice meant by the ganged upon part because they didn't. It could have been just in that moment where everybody was just yelling. She could have felt that. We don't know because we didn't get to it. It never got to that point.
right, I agree, but Sharice did exactly the same thing that Zadia did. They both used buzzwords, like when Zadia used the word bully, Sharice felt some type of way. So when Sharice said ganged up on, the other two ladies felt some kind of way. So using those buzzwords and not being mindful of what we're saying is going to cause people to have a reaction. Because when the ladies only got hyped and tried to, insert themselves once she said, I felt ganged up on. So you're using those buzzwords. And then unfortunately, when we hear certain buzzwords in our heads, we feel like we have to defend ourselves, even though sometimes we don't. And I think you made that point yesterday in the chat. You don't always have to, if it don't apply, let it fly.
Yes.
But Sharice has, for me, and this is just for me, Sharice has to accept the fact that you included the other women because you were losing the argument, in my opinion. When she said she felt ganged up on, now I'm going to be the victim in this situation. And that's why the other ladies kind of responded to her in a certain kind of way, because they have an image too. You don't want to hear, we ganging up on you. Like, where is all of that coming from? If Sharice did feel ganged up on or isolated, like Sean said, those are her feelings and we have to respect her feelings. But in that moment, that feeling didn't need to be shared. That was something she could have had a private
conversation. If that feeling can't be shared, like, what if she could be talking about the Tamikas? She could be talking about everybody on the stage is like literally yelling in her direction about something specifically in that moment. I'm not saying that she's a victim or none of that. I'm just saying that when asked how she felt, she said what she felt. And if that's how I feel, maybe I don't have a valid reason to feel how I feel. That's the part I think that some people are missing. No, feelings are not facts, right? Like I have a bunch of girlfriends, right? And everybody don't get along all the time. And somebody would be like, I feel like y'all were doing such and such. And we're like, we know we didn't specifically do something like that, but that's how you felt. And I hate that whatever we did made you feel that that's what we were doing. That's not what our intention was. But that's how you feel. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I can't invalidate if that's actually how you feel in that moment. And I think that they took it way over the top. If you know that's not what you did, like you should not have that much energy towards it if you know that's not what you did. I feel like I would want to ask more questions. Like, okay, well, explain, like, what exactly made you feel that way? She might say, y'all all yelling in my direction right now, or something
Well,
else.
Well, I think we got to remember, Sharice, everyone's yelling at your direction because you're the one who started yelling and not wanting to have the conversation and not wanting to just let them do like this little segment about your back and forth with Zadia. Nobody was yelling at Sharice until she was cutting off Zadia, till she started yelling, till she started X, Y, and Z. And so it wasn't like, they just came for you. Your behaviors and your actions and words prompted them to say something to you. I think that's where I have my stance on it with this situation. Like, I agree with you 100%. They're not victims. Ain't nobody bullying nobody, but everyone's talking to you because you're yelling.
But she wasn't yelling until she literally, and that's why I keep saying, please play the clip, because she did not yell until Ashley got hyped. That was the first time she raised her voice.
Aries, I just watched it back.
Yeah, I'm like, she did not yell. She did not. She was like, she asked that girl to calmly. She calmly asked her, "Do not talk to me like that," because she was sitting there, regardless if she was saying, "I don't want to hear it" or whatever it was. She was not yelling, and
So
she did not go there. So that's
this
the
is
part where
facts,
I'm
Aries. Prior to all of that, Egypt was basically addressing Sharice in this moment about having females betray her, friends that betrayed her and stuff. And she said, "Do you feel you were attacked?" Sharice responds, "Yes." And as she's saying that, that's when whatchamacallit, by what she, this host is still saying by what she said or whatever. And she said, no, she corrected herself. She said, "I definitely feel attacked." Not feel. She didn't say feel. She said, "I definitely was attacked." No, the host asked her, "Do you feel attacked?" She said, "Yes." And then she corrected herself. She said, "I was definitely attacked and ganged up on." It's no longer a feeling. You're saying that they did this to you in that moment.
I might have to pull semantics on that part.
Ashley, yeah, you got to watch the clip. Watch the clip back.
Because I don't think
Ashley was trying to go ahead and watch the clip back. Watch the clip back. I got it queued up right here. Ashley was scooting in to try to comfort her in that moment at first, and that it was probably wrong time for Ashley to be doing all that. But when Egypt was asking her, "Do you feel like women have betrayed you in your past?" or whatever and stuff, Ashley scooted in that moment, tried to comfort her, and she was just talking about, calm down, friend, just be cool, friend. In that moment, Ashley doing a little too much.
That one got on my damn nerves.
Wrong moment because and rightfully so. Sharice was having a reflection moment, like she was looking back. You could see her eyes look away. She's holding back tears from some past trauma, hurt, whatever she got going on from people that betrayed her. Wrong time for Ashley. However, Ashley was trying to comfort her in that moment as she's saying, "Yes, I feel like, people in my past have done this, and this is the situation that it was going on right now." But then she proceeds to say, "I was definitely attacked and ganged up on."
But the question is, how can you feel attacked and ganged up on when we're having a conversation about something you initiated?
She's saying in that moment in the kitchen, that's when that's what the conversation. So that's why everybody jumps on her. It's like, we didn't attack you. We didn't gang up on you. And that's the first thing that comes out of Vern's mouth is, ain't nobody attacked you.
And we but here's what I think we're missing.
That's kind of my point.
I think we're missing part about the feelings versus the facts, right? Where I feel Sean could have said he felt ganged upon earlier just from having a different opinion from everybody, right? Like, that don't mean that y'all was really ganging up on him and being mean and bullying him, but you could feel ganged up. That's how I feel. I don't necessarily feel sisterly right now. Y'all told me I'm not a sister. Y'all told me I wasn't whatever it was. And that's how I feel. You ask me how I feel, that's how I feel. Damn, like, y'all about to beat me up because I feel away? Like, I feel that way. Regardless of what you think you're doing, I feel that way.
But
That's
then
just
that goes back to Kojo's point where they have a feeling as well, and everybody is just not expressing their feelings correctly. It's maybe how we can come to some type of resolve. Because if
yeah.
you're saying that you don't feel, if you feel attacked and you feel ganged up on, and that's making you feel some kind of way, we're also saying, I think that's what Kojo was saying, they feel the same way based upon your behaviors, actions, and words. So everyone's feelings needs to be validated. But to my point, and then I have to go because I got to get to church, that I still feel that, Sharice, you come to the reunion, we have to discuss this. You're getting amped, you're catching an attitude, you know, you got Zadia outsmarted you. Like she just outsmarted you. And you know what? To be honest, I feel like you kind of deserved it because you shouldn't have outed her about whatever she was doing with Cam. It wasn't your business.
Well, Zadia shouldn't have called her. That was the first mistake of the whole season
Big
was they
mistake.
called the wrong one, and that would have eliminated all of this. You should have stayed up with outside
At the
until everybody
beginning.
woke up.
That's where it all
That's not the
started.
beginning. She called everybody else, and nobody else answered. So the other people that didn't pick
Stay
up the
your butt in
phone's
the
fault.
parking
Well,
lot
they said
until they wake
they
up.
ain't Zadia's friends either. 'Cause they
Exactly.
shut her-
You need to blame Ashley and Vern for all of this.
All right, y'all have a
We
happy
gonna
New
blame whoever
Year's. I
locked
gotta
that door.
run.
Appreciate you, Phil.
Bye, Phil.
I feel.
Yeah.
Mr. VIP,
Hey.
I ain't heard from you, and Sean, I ain't heard from you. What are you saying?
Yeah, look, I even would say, like when it comes to when Zadia came to Sharice to get let into the house in the morning, like that was definitely the wrong person to do that with. And Sharice, from that point, made it a point to target Zadia in certain situations. And that nice, nasty, forced apology blatantly was forced. Like she led the conversation at that time by saying, "Oh, girl, you look cute," or "Look at you in your cute dress," or something like that, some fluff to try and give a bogus apology. Really, she had it in for her the whole time. Literally, she read the energy that Zadia gives off, and the only difference is Zadia is able to compose herself a lot better than Sharice can. When Sharice goes off, she's volcanic, and she'll just run off and at the mouth and get hostile, exactly like what she did with Ashley. Whereas Zadia plays a more mental game, a more chess game. She's gonna sit back. She's got the ability to be rude. We've seen that through various different points of the season as well. But she didn't get up and mush anybody. She's learned not to be that aggressive. So I don't think they're ever going to come to blows. I think Zadia's whole thing was, I'm just going to provoke you enough to make you act a fool and show how hostile you really are. And Sharice, I think, was trying to initiate the whole, you're the bully in the situation. You're the one that, no. They both are quite capable of trying to manipulate the other ladies into seeing their points of view. And I'm like very appreciative that both the ladies let them battle it out and they didn't take sides. Because at points they were clearly close to the different ladies in the season. Ashley seemed to gravitate towards Sharice at times, and at times she was close to Zadia. Vern was gravitating towards both as well. So they just let them two settle their beef if they were going to settle it. And I appreciate that, because then it would have really been a gang attack on one of them, and that would have made it a lot more uncomfortable. So I don't think bullying was happening throughout, but I feel like when Sharice gets cornered, then that's the card she tried to play. And to be fair, Sharice seems to be more sensitive. So she's hostile and she's also very thin-skinned, which is why I think she went straight psycho when Zadia made the comment about her kissing LJ on the lips. Sharice probably felt like she was being called a hoe at that time. Oh, that's something you do with your male friends. I don't do that, girl. Like, there's an element of shame. Like, why are you trying to shame her for doing it? And that's when Sharice just went off and, oh, well, you slept with Cat, you know? So that's the type of personality that she has. It's very volatile. And that's why I have concern for her and Maurice going forward. Because one, like, if he messes up and makes mistakes, as everybody does, if Sharice doesn't control and handle her temperament better, then she's going to go off the same way on him as she does in other instances when there's ladies around. You see what I'm saying? So, and to even do it to the host, like, there were times where she was trying to set the host straight as well. Like, yeah, she needs to work on that. But I will also balance it by saying we did also see a much warmer Sharice. So she is capable of recognizing some of her behaviors as being problematic, and she is capable of changing certain aspects. But this volatility, it can't continue like that, because she just continually get into situations like this.
Go for it, Sean.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. This heated, wonderful discussion is inspiring new membership. So we love to see it. You know, let's continue on our journey to 100,000 subscribers over here, so we can get this going, because this is where we, you know, have these wonderful types of conversations. And, you know, I think, like, listen, if y'all want to, those who are not understanding what I'm saying, I'm going to say it again, you know, with my little bit of voice I have left. I definitely don't think Sharice is innocent. I do see problems in the way that she has conducted herself. I see how she has stoked the flames with Zadia. And, you know, I think I see them both as very similar. It's just Sharice is more of a reactive, volatile person. That's how I think Sharice is very reactive and volatile, whereas Zadia has a little bit more of measure and calculation. So she's not just going to go full tilt explosive on somebody. And that is what Sharice's problem is. She needs to calm down. She needs to listen. She does need to listen. I think she should have listened. She would have been better served if she would have just calmed down and allow for whatever they were saying to be said. And then she could have responded and said, this is why I feel the way I felt. And these are examples where I did feel that way. And that's that, you know, and I that's all I've been saying in this whole thing. And I do think that when multiple people get involved, and especially when there's no balance, which is why in this instance, Kojo, like, you invited Aries, you started to invite other people on so you get a broader perspective, because what will happen is somebody's going to get back in a corner. And when you have multiple people opposing one person, that is not a fair argument. So that was my only point in exercising empathy, because there was never a moment where Zadia was outnumbered. There was never a moment, and I'm not saying who created the moment or whose fault. I'm not placing blame. I'm saying in the scenario, there was never a moment where Zadia was being ganged up on by multiple people, including the cast and the host. So when you are on that side, it places you on the defensive. And when you're on the defensive, you react. And Sharice is a hyper-reactive, explosive person. So her reactions are off, and she reacted the wrong way.
Well, I appreciate the response. You've raised me one, I'll raise you three. So my point to you, which I was bringing up, is not an argument about whether necessarily anybody was wrong, because I think we both agree that both of these parties are wrong. My argument is, how do you pathologize and understand where Sharice is coming from and don't give the same to Zadia? You didn't explain, even when your explanation now was actually an indictment against Sharice, it still wasn't explaining the grace for Zadia. Let me give you an example of what I mean in this situation, right? You explained about how Sharice felt ganged up upon, then used a moment in the show which actually, when she addresses that, I want to watch it again, when she addresses that she was ganged up on, she ain't talking about that moment. She's talking about in the actual show process, but that's fine. Use an example of what happened on in that moment between the girls and the host as proof of how she felt being valid. Well, let's go back. Zadia says she felt like she was being bullied. When someone's talking and sharing their thoughts and their feelings towards you, and you tell them, I don't give a heck, I don't care, I can also use that as an example of that person being validated in how they felt being bullied throughout the course of the season. And my thing was, how were you able to empathize with Sharice's position and give us a whole disposition about Sharice and how she is the way she is and da-da-da-da-da, but you weren't able to do the same thing for Zadia? In fact, you went as far as to say, I don't believe that Zadia got bullied, but you were able to believe that Sharice got ganged up upon, and yet both of them have valid points because it's their feelings. And what I was trying to initiate to you was, how are you able to hold space for Sharice's feelings but not for Zadia's? Immediately Zadia's telling you that she felt bullied. I don't believe she got bullied. Well, I don't believe that she got ganged upon. And that's what I was trying to say to you. Whilst we're saying that we're going to go around in a circle, the reason why we're going to go around in a circle is because you're not holding space for both people here, though. You've got. If both people are telling you how they felt, then nobody's feeling can trump the other. If you say to me, I got to honor Sharice's feelings, then you got to honor Zadia's feelings too. You didn't. You counteracted it and said, I don't believe it. And you didn't do that for Sharice. You didn't say, I didn't believe that she got ganged up upon. You said, I believe what she said. I agree with what she said. Right? And that's where I was holding you to and saying, I don't agree with that. Why can't you hold the same space for Zadia? And then you went on further to explain how you felt like Zadia couldn't be bullied because you felt like she had done X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. And that's when I said to you, well, if we want to go there, let's go there. This is what Sharice has done, X, Y, and Z, X, Y, and Z. And I also included extra little spice on top of it, Scotch bonnet to the pepper soup to make sure it was extra spicy by adding the fact that she had a criminal record as well for violence, right? Because we were all using information to prove that somebody may not be what they are. Now, I went to watch the clip, and I'm going to play it for you guys in a second or two, because just as Jay was talking and she said that she watched the clip, I also went back to watch the clip, and she does not use I feel. She actually says it did happen, and that changes the thing completely, because now it did happen. Now I can see why they also flared up even more, because you're not just telling me this how you felt, you told me that is what happened. So at that point, I'm gonna take you to STFU too, because what you're talking about, that didn't happen. Right? So what my point is that you don't get to say you don't believe Zadia, yet you get to believe Sharice and say it's all about feelings and we should honor feelings and we should hold space for that. You can't do that. That's my point I was having with you, Sean, in that aspect. I've raised you 3. I'm ready for you to raise me 5.
Yeah, so are you saying that you acknowledge that Sharice was right for feeling the way she felt?
She can feel however she feels.
Okay. So if that's the case, then Zadia can also feel the way however she feels too, because we hadn't made that agreement. I made my statement, and then you just went on to say, well, why does that, since Zadia cannot feel bullied? It was like you introduced a new part of the argument where we weren't really, that wasn't the crux of our debate. So yeah, if I look back at it, yeah, I can give Zadia some grace and understanding that, hey, maybe there were moments that she felt bullied. Maybe she felt like, her being constantly targeted by Sharice about what she was doing, supposedly with Cam, and then Sharice airing it out on camera. Maybe she did feel bullied.
Why do you use the word maybe, but don't use the word maybe for Sharice and how she feels?
Kojo, cut it out. Let's not play semantics with each other.
No, I'm not playing semantics. It's still proving my point.
Because at the end of
I'm
the
not being
day,
stickler.
It's not about me not wanting to move.
You're not being genuine in your response. You saying
Kojo,
maybe doesn't mean you believe what I said. You didn't say the same for Sharice.
It comes back to the same thing with Simone Biles thing. You want me to say it the way you want me to say it.
No.
I'm telling you that if Zadia felt bullied by Sharice, and I gave you examples of things that Sharice did that could have felt like bullying to Zadia.
You don't believe Zadia's point. That's my point. You don't, because you never use maybe for Sharice. And this is why I'm holding you to it. When you explain Sharice's feeling,
because I haven't been put in a position to defend Zadia.
You haven't been put in a position to defend Sharice. Nobody told you to defend Sharice. Nobody told you to defend Sharice. You decided to.
Nobody told me to do anything. Nobody told you to defend Zadia.
Exactly. So why are you saying maybe?
Is I get to say what I want to say, and I'm telling you that Zadia has a right to feel that she was bullied by Sharice. That's the point blank period. What do you want me to do? Lie on my back and say you're right? I'm not going to say that. I'm telling you, if we're going to agree to the point that Sharice has a right to her feelings and feeling ganged up on, then Zadia has a right to feel the same way she does about feeling bullied by Charisse.
And so let me just explain why it was important I held you to that fire in that moment, right? If you explain how Charisse is getting ganged up on, I said, oh, she got ganged up on, we should be able to understand her feelings, right? There was no maybe in there. The moment you put a maybe for the thing, you're still invalidating a person's feeling, because you actually, what you're really saying, you're still still applying your feelings to the situation by saying, I don't feel like that happened, but you know what? For the sake of the argument, I'm gonna put a maybe in there and just be like, yo, okay, cool. To say, okay, to for the sake of the argument, to keep it at peace. But actually, your words are telling us you don't believe what she said, and yet you're believing Charisse. So you're still not actually in that place. That's all I'm highlighting to you. That's all I'm highlighting to you. Your words are very important. You still don't believe Zadia's position, which is why I'm saying to you, you don't empathize with her position, but you empathize with Charisse's. So you claiming a statement of it being general that we should all accept everyone's feelings, it's a lie. You don't accept everyone's feelings. You accept Charisse's feelings, and you don't really accept Zadia's feelings. That's why there's no empathy in what you said. Just saying.
Kojo, you're making it about something that it's not, and that's my problem. It's because it's not about, and I've consistently said this, and you're making it a polarizing thing about Zadia being wrong, and me thinking Zadia is wrong and Charisse is right. And I have said it 3,000 times that the only part of me that empathizes is that the fact that in that moment when you have multiple people saying something against you, and it's your feelings, it is a very difficult position to be in. I don't have an opinion about Charisse being right. I don't think she is right. I think the way she handles things is wrong. I just agree that in that moment, it is very difficult when you have multiple people saying that you're wrong to react in a way that is normal, right? And that you're going to be calm. That's all I'm saying. So it's not about not having empathy for Zadia, because Zadia technically wasn't even part of this interaction where Charisse flipped out. She was more so flipping out with Ashley, because Ashley was the one piping up in her face. And that was my issue, is that Ashley stuck herself into something where she could have just sat back and not gotten involved and made it about her in the moment and just let Charisse finish running off her mouth or whatever she was saying about what she was saying. So I don't really even think Zadia had anything to do with this. Zadia wasn't even a part of this interaction. It was Charisse flipping out on Ashley.
Which I agreed with you. We agree on most of the points, by the way. We agree on most of these points. We agree on most of these points, Sean. I'm just highlighting to you that the wording is very important. And anybody who says a word is not important is lying. The whole channel is about wording, about what people say. We question people's wording and what it means. So when I say to you, if I say to you, I'm defending Charisse, and I say, let me not say I'm defending. Let me just say, let's say I'm explaining Charisse's behavior by saying, but look, Charisse, she is, she unfortunately she was ganged up on at that moment in time. I can see how she felt. And then I say, well, you know what? Zadia also said how she felt like she'd been bullied. Maybe she was bullied. Maybe she was bullied. Maybe she felt that way. By that adding that maybe in there, it actually indicates where you stand upon. This is why I was highlighting it. And you may not think that, but I'm telling you, when you add that, you didn't add a maybe for Charisse.
I just want you to stop, because first of all, the lying thing aggravates me, and you corrected it. And as soon as you made it clear, I changed my statement. So I just need us to just not lay off the maybe. All right. So as soon as you made it plain.
So you're not saying maybe anymore?
No, I did. I stopped saying maybe. We're driving the point home into the wall.
So we're saying both of them are entitled to their feelings, and you see how both of them feel.
That was the last thing I said to you before we started this whole new part of the conversation. I'm not defending maybe anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just want to correct something. I just really want to correct something, because there are times when I interact with these people in real life. I do not dislike Zadia. So let's just knock that off. I do not dislike Zadia. Anybody that knows me I've never just said horribly mean things about her behind the scenes. I look at her behavior just like anybody on this season or anybody on any other season of Ready to Love, and I call for what I see. Yes, do I have an opinion about her behavior, and do I see her as doing things that can be manipulative? Absolutely. Absolutely. And does that color my feelings about how I express my opinion? Of course it does. But I do not dislike her. I don't know her to dislike her. I don't have any ill will against this woman or anybody on these shows.
Hey, you're not the only one. I mean, we're all biased here. I've got my own biases, so I'm not even. This is not even that. So we've all got biases. You know what I'm saying to you? Yeah, it was good tussle still, nonetheless. But let me just read out super chat, and I'll get Mr. VIP. I know I'm sure he wants to say something. Shout out to Sean Image as well. He said, I didn't even watch this particular season, but I'm here to support the channel regardless. Happy New Year to you, Coach, and the rest of the super panel. May you all find greater success in the coming year. Shout out to you, Sean Image, for this. You've been a staunch supporter for a long time, so we appreciate you. The men are always in the chat. I always say this, man. They're always about, you know. And we're going to get some more content for you guys coming in the next few weeks for the men's panels, myself and Sean. You'll see some more tussles between ourselves, I'm sure. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that. And Tyra's World says, per Coach's words on another live, we don't seek to be right, we seek to be understood. Team Charisse, yep. And Sean actually said it probably better than myself, actually, when he said that term as well. So shout out to you, Tyra's World, as well. We appreciate that. Mr. VIP, yes, jump in. I know that me and Sean have tussled to the point that I'm sweating a little bit on my forehead. But what's your thoughts?
Well, as I say, man, like they managed to be in the house. I knew it was going to be combustible from before the first episode. As soon as I saw the lineup, I was like, yeah, there's going to be fireworks. But to their credit, there were times where they were nice, nasty. So they weren't hostile with each other the whole time. They actually did make an attempt to let there be a show, if there may have been some production prompting or whatever. And now at the reunion, you're not under those obligations anymore. Now it's 3 months later, so you can now let off steam about your experiences in the house. And as I said, I feel like both of them play the same game. It's just that Zadia is more calculated and she's able to act unbothered more. She was being called a liar, and she didn't flip out. And as we've seen, like that can be a bone of contention, especially for someone who you have seen volatile behaviors from before, right? So she held that, and she knows that she wasn't completely honest, but she didn't bring any guys into the house. That's why I think she felt validated. And that's why I also feel like she felt Charisse was coming after her, because Charisse knows full well that Cameron didn't come in the house at that time. The problem was she stayed out and woke her up from her beauty sleep. But that's not the same as having guys in the house. So the rules were respected. So that's why I think Zadia was like, right, I don't need to tell you where I was and what I did. It didn't happen in the house. So that's the end of your concern. That's the end of your business. So, but they kept that hostility going through the whole time. And I feel like the hosts, they were just trying to get to the bottom of any underlying tension, because at the end of the day, these are now talking points from the season. Yeah, you've got the matchups and who ended up with who and who chose themselves and all of that. But the side story is, how did you get on in the house? I've heard Venetia say at times, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to find a partner, right? And other people have said that on the show too. So I think that they both just clash. There is a dislike. They don't have to be friends outside of the process. And ultimately, they both have a case. So it's not a one-upmanship like they were trying to make it seem like, oh, you know what, I'm going to score more shots on you and you can't talk back to me and tell me anything. No, it's never going to be that. And that's why Charisse should have just sat there and allowed Zadia to say what she was saying. That was her feelings at the time. She was giving her point of view, and the host was trying to tell Charisse, just hold up. You'll get your chance to give your point as well. But Charisse was trying to shut it down because she's that. The difference is she's more volatile. She's more like a live wire when she gets going on something. So, it's an unfortunate instance that we saw. But again, how surprised are we really that these two ladies butted heads as much as they did. Not very. So I'll land my plane there, as Brother Sean says.
Love that. I'm going to play the clip, before we end the show and stuff, but I think it'd be good to end the clip, then it settles everything we spoke about today. And, we've got the little poll up there, so you guys can choose your side, who you thought was right or wrong. Let's play a little clip.
We never ganged Nobody ganged up on that scene in the kitchen when she said I wasn't a sister.
It's a trigger word,
but it's
for
okay.
You. It's a trigger.
It's a trigger.
Let me play it from the beginning. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Let me do that from the beginning. Okay.
When I was
your phrase.
Can I think that's where?
Here we go. Apologies, guys. There we go.
Where this energy is coming as you are seeing your reflection, and it's hard. And Sharice, I have to say, it feels like you've had girlfriends that may have betrayed you in the past, and that pain is right there at the surface. Does that sound a little familiar?
It does.
And so you felt attacked.
I did.
When she was simply trying to speak.
No, I was definitely attacked and ganged up on, but it's okay. We never ganged up on you, Sharice.
Correction, no. I was definitely attacked and ganged up. It's no longer a feeling. I was definitely attacked and ganged up on. Words matter.
Huge sigh over here, y'all.
Words matter.
It's still her feelings at the end of the day. So I don't know why we're going to sit here and debate this. She didn't say the word feel now.
Nigga!
It's her feelings. I mean, if you guys
said no, she
the drain on
corrected her.
that, then
went to
go
Lady said, "Do
for
you
it.
feel, Shine?"
Go
The lady
for
said, "Do
it.
you feel?" She said, "No, I was definitely attacked."
Okay, because that's how she felt.
It's not a feeling. She said,
No.
But what if she was talking about the ladies?
So
What if she was talking
what is
about?
an attack?
"You gotta ask her."
No, she changed the words.
That's what I'm saying. But what is an attack?
She said she was attacked and felt definitely ganged up. She said, "I definitely feel attacked and ganged up on."
Okay.
And everybody's face went crazy, and that's when
And
they
just like Zadia felt like she was ganged up on, bullied, she has a right to feel bullied.
It wasn't a feeling anymore, though, bro. We're not debating feelings.
But it's not a
Your
feeling.
friend-
She was bullied.
your friend-
She said she was bullied. She didn't say I felt bullied. She said I was bullied, and she has a right to feel bullied. And just like Sharice had a right to feel ganged up. We're not talking about truth.
Personally, I don't think Zadia got bullied. I don't think Zadia got bullied all the way through.
Well,
right?
Zadia said she
okay.
was bullied, though. She said, "I was bullied and I was a target from her attacking me from the beginning of the whole time." She said that.
Yeah. I
When
said
somebody
I can see how
they
she
don't
can be
speak
bullied.
in a feeling of giving. If I felt like I was ganged up on, I'm not going to give you guys any wiggle room to say, well, maybe I wasn't. No, because if I felt attacked or if I felt ganged up on, I was ganged up on. That's it. That's my interpretation of how it felt in the moment. It
So
could
you're
be
going
wrong.
back on the original point, which is why I said I was holding you to the fire with a feeling, because what you're now saying is your feeling is the truth. And that's why we're arguing with you, because you're now saying to me, if I felt like I was being attacked, then I was attacked. No, you were saying originally how you felt
I'm
is
saying
how you
that is
felt.
how the person feels. They're not. Nobody get Kojo.
Is that what happened?
If you
No, how you felt is not what
insulted-
happened.
But Kojo, listen.
That's all that matters,
If I
though,
said
in
something
that
to you, wait. If I say something to you and you're like, Sean, you insulted me, right? And I'm like, no, Kojo, I was just trying to correct something you said. That doesn't
I
mean
wouldn't
you're
be
saying.
I felt. I'll tell you straight that you insulted me. That's the whole point. I wouldn't use I feel. I would say to you, I was insulted because I believe, not how I feel. I believe that you insulted me. When you say I feel, we use that language. Sorry, I've interrupted you. Go for it.
Yeah, and that is my point. My whole point about the feelings wasn't that she said her feelings. I was talking about when people have feelings about an emotion, they are attached to that emotion. So people's feelings become valid, whether they say the word feeling or not. Just like in an argument, if I say something and somebody doesn't like what I say, they have a right to feel the way they feel about it. It doesn't make it right, wrong. They still have their feelings, and we need to give them space to unpack those feelings to have a healthy conversation, especially if we disagree with what the person is saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying she was right for being ganged up on. I'm saying that those were her feelings, and there was nothing that anyone else could do to convince her otherwise in that moment, especially coming at her like the way that she was being like Ashley was addressing her.
But so that's why I'm addressing it, because your argument originally was about, well, if she has feelings, we have to hold space for it. But the reality was she didn't say her feelings. She actually changed the whole point from feelings. She could have left it at that. She didn't leave it at that. She stated it as complete fact. Hence why you now have the girls now piping up. So you can never say they ganged up on her in that moment. No, you decided to bring the women into it because you didn't say your feelings anymore. You said this is exactly what happened. And when you say that, you're about to get what the other people are about to say, because now you're not saying, oh, I felt like I've been ganged up. You're saying, no, it actually happened. And so now the girls are now refuting what your truth is. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Because I'm going back on your original point, which is when you made a statement point, you made a point about feelings and holding space for those feelings. You then criticized the girls jumping in and getting on top of her and saying it was a gang up moment. And I told you at the point, and I didn't disagree with that point, because I said obviously that wasn't my argument at the time. But I'm now holding you back to that same argument, because that same argument, right, now it's not about feelings. So we don't have to hold space for that. You're now telling me that's the truth of the reality. And so now when I decide to say something to you, you can't be complaining about I have to hold space for your feelings. It's not feelings anymore. You told me it's the truth. And I'm telling you that's not what happened. So if I jump back in, you can't be looking at me saying about I'm not holding space for your feelings. You just told me it's the truth. That's the difference. So that makes a huge difference when you say I feel versus when you say it is something. It is not how I feel. It is telling us that's the reality of the truth of what happened. And that is not what happened. So I'm going to say something back to that, because that's not what happened.
Yeah, and look, and people have a right to respond however they want to respond. What my point was is that at the end of the day, in order for there to be a better conversation, it's not going to happen with somebody jumping in your face and telling you you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're already saying you felt attacked or you felt ganged up on, somebody yelling at you and telling you you're wrong and disproving that and trying to disprove that you were wrong about what you said is not going to help the matter. That was essentially my point. And I think at the end of the day, it's just like somebody said it in the chat, I believe it was Tyra's World, perception becomes reality. And that's simply the point that I'm making, is what somebody believes in that moment is what they believe. And it is very difficult to change somebody's opinion, especially if you come at them a wrong way. I'm not assigning blame. I'm not talking about Zadia being wrong. I'm not talking about anything else other than the fact that in that moment when Charisse made that comment, Ashley going off on her and talking about, no, you're wrong, sis, you're wrong, and blah, 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 blah. All of that activity is not going to move the needle where Charisse is going to feel less ganged up on.
I hear
it's
that,
only going to push her further into her point.
But the other person's going to feel like you're lying. And at that point, if it's a lie to me... Yeah. So hold on. So if it's a lie to me now, because remember, it's not your feelings now. It is now you're saying it happened. Right. If it's a lie to me, at that point, I'm going to say something back. Of course, I'm not going to let you have the platform to say a lie that I feel that you're lying at, because that's not what actually happened. So if we're talking about moving the needle forward, don't say anything at all, because it's not the truth, according to me. So you can't say about moving the needle forward. And this is why I was saying about you're holding Charisse to this giving almost this platform saying she's right. Because again, we're having to hold a space for somebody who potentially is lying. I'm not saying she is, by the way, because she's saying that's her truth, and I'm saying they're saying their truth, right? So if they feel like you're lying on me, I'm going to contradict what you're saying. You know what I'm saying to you? I'm going to contradict what you're saying. Why am I going to leave space for you to continue to lie about what actually happened?
Do you see how we had this conversation back and forth, right? And there were times when it got heated, but there were times when we had to stop and listen.
Of course.
Yeah, because if we were both yelling at each other for the last hour, 30 minutes, we would just be screaming and yelling. So that's my point, Kojo. There were times when you got upset with me. There were times when I got upset with you, but I also had to stop and listen, the same as you had to do with me. And that's all my point is. I'm not placing any value on what Charisse is saying. I'm saying sometimes in a moment to absorb the conflict and to allow for a conversation to happen, somebody's got to be quiet. Somebody has to listen. And if I start screaming at you and telling you you're wrong, no, when you're trying to prove your point, you're not going to hear me. You're going to continue to disprove whatever you think you're defending. So that's my point. I don't care
So
about
why are you not telling
actually.
Sharice to keep quiet? My whole point is then, so why are you not telling
Jojo,
Sharice to be
I've
quiet and not
said
say
from the
anything at all?
beginning that Sharice has very poor conflict resolution.
It's not about poor. No,
And
it's not about poor. She
and
shouldn't
she's
say anything at
explosive.
all. That's the whole point. You're telling someone else. You're telling me not to respond to a lie. And then you're saying I shouldn't respond. I'm saying to you, why can't you also hold space for the fact that she shouldn't say anything at all then? Just don't say anything. Don't give an excuse about she got poor regulation, she got poor management, whatever, because you're giving excuses. It should be straight off. She shouldn't say anything at all because you're telling me to play the better role, but you're
then
not
that wouldn't
telling
be her
her to also
feeling.
play a better role.
But then that wouldn't be her feeling.
But it's not a feeling anymore. That's why we're arguing about this point. It's not a feeling. You told me it is the truth. We've moved from feeling because she
That's
hasn't said
her
it's a feeling.
truth. It is her truth. The feeling, that's her truth. I don't understand. Like, I think we're having a difference of opinion on this word and truth and whatever. Look, Sharice feels like she was ganged up on. That is the truth to her. Whether it's the fact of what actually happened, we don't know, because according to Vern and Sharice, according to Vern and Ashley, it's not true. According to Sharice, it is. Look. So we could spend all night debating on what really happened, but at the end of the day, it's obviously how Sharice feels because she's saying it. Just like Zadia feels like she was bullied by Sharice. So I have to accept that that's her opinion. I can't tell her she shouldn't have said it. That's how she feels. So we can't tell Sharice not to say it on the same thing. And look, I've yielded. I've said Zadia has a right to feel that way. She 100% has a right to feel that way about her interactions with Sharice. I'm not giving Sharice any extra grace. And Aries is gone. He's over it. You know,
Can't have to do all this back and forth with
She
y'all.
said, you know what? I'm out.
I'm out. You know,
Not how
at
she
the
feeling
end
in
of-
this new year.
you know, I'm really okay, and I don't.
I'm
you
good.
know, it-
I just
yeah, no.
me and Short. I like to go back and Short because I can go full pelt with Short. That's why I like to go back and forth with Short. I can go.
like we really
full
are
pelt.
okay. He was annoying me, like that's why I had to interrupt him when he said lying, because those words, that's a trigger word for me. Like, so don't say I'm a liar. Like I just go full tilt. So that's
how
the
I
only
felt, though.
point when I got like a little angry.
That's how I
and
felt,
a little
Short.
heated.
But
Huh?
that's the whole point
That's how I
right there,
felt.
Sean. Those people go full tilt because that's what that's what Sharice basically did to them, is tell them that they attacked her and ganged up on her. So when they're
should have
coming
space
back
for
at
me.
her, they coming back at her, then it's respected. Like if you come back at Kojo for calling you a liar, we expect it because you're gonna go full tilt. They can go full tilt too, or whatever. So she can't sit there in that space and sit there and be like, oh, now you guys can't say anything to me. You brought me into this situation. The question was to her. In the past, you have had girls betray you and do this. Is that what you feel? That was in that moment right there. She never out her mouth once said she feels anything. She said yes to that. And she said, well, the host said, well, do you feel this is what they do to you? She said, no, they attacked me and they ganged up on me. The first thing out of her mouth was no to the feeling. She denied the feeling of it. And she said, they did it. So you can argue about this feeling thing all day long, but she made an accusatory statement. It was not a feeling anymore. When she dismissed the out that Egypt gave her and said, do you feel like this was the situation? She said no, flat out, and proceeded to say they attacked me and ganged up on me. It's not a feeling anymore. The feeling was for the old thing of the betrayal of the old friends. That was the feeling. Y'all wanted to replay the clip. We replayed the clip. She never said once out of her mouth, she feels they attacked her and ganged up on her. She was addressing the question that came to her, and she answered the question with a no. They attacked me. They ganged up on me.
Go for sure.
No, I just feel like we're going nowhere. Because it's just going to be a circular argument at this point. Because I thought we have reached some. No, I feel like we have reached a level of resolution with this. And I just feel like we just keep good. We want to be at odds. I don't want to be at odds on this. I just think that I see a different perspective of the fact that Charisse was not, it was a very difficult situation when you're trying to defend yourself and you have multiple people against you. And tonight proves it. It is very difficult when you are by yourself on an island and you have your sole opinion and you're having to defend yourself right, front, and left, and you are in the minority. It's very difficult. So I'm saying that the only way those conversations go better is when the people that are least involved, being Ashley and Vernisha, to sit it out. You know what I mean? Because there were times when Kojo and I needed to just go toe-to-toe together, and I don't have a problem with that. But if I'm having to argue with Jay, argue with somebody else, argue with the chat, argue with 30,000 other people watching, that becomes a very difficult conversation to have, and it goes left very quickly. So the only way that real resolution would happen is when two people can really truly listen to each other. Not if somebody's cackling in my ear telling me I'm wrong about this, when that's not even really the argument. And that's how these stupid fights break out, is because now we're fighting about something that's not even the fight. Because the real thing is about Charisse and Zadia, and how Charisse, really opened up the can of worms with the Cam things. She set the whole motion into stage with the way they started off souring with each other. So,
and you know why you and Kojo could sit up here and have a whole conversation without anybody else jumping in? Because neither one of y'all brought us in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Charisse was wrong for bringing them in.
So she can't sit here and be mad at the end of the day and start talking about y'all ganging up on me and all this stuff like that. They proceeded to tell her, we never ganged up on you. We did the same thing we were sitting here doing, minding our business, letting y'all have it out. This is your moment. This is your segment. We was letting you have it. And what you do, you brought us into your segment. So now I got to defend myself. Because you didn't just bring me in and say, I feel like they ganged up on me. You accused me of ganging up on you. Had you did that, Sean, of course, you already know I'm about to jump in. Don't tell me I'm doing something when I'm sitting over here minding my business.
Right. But at the end of the day, it still doesn't dispute the fact that Ashley didn't need to get all in her face and to be all wild.
And we all agree on that. And that's why I told you I shifted on that when I seen all of that extra stuff Ashley was doing.
And that's all I've been saying since day one, is the fact that people can gas the situation and make it worse than it needs to be by fueling the flames. And I think that's what Ashley did.
But at the same token, outside of the little extra gestures that Ashley was doing prior, Ashley wasn't sitting there directing anything to Charisse until Charisse brought her in. Vern didn't direct anything to Charisse until Charisse brought her in. So we can't sit here and look at these people who's flaming the fire, fanning the fire and stuff like that. How did they get there? How did they get the fan in their hand? Charisse gave it to them. If Charisse would have sat there and said, Ashley, stop doing all this movement. Just stop, please. Just sit still. That'd have been a whole different conversation. Charisse didn't address Ashley until after she brought Ashley into the conversation. Now Ashley is my out. Bingo, that's what I need. That's all she was looking for. Because she didn't really want to deal, and I'm not going to say she didn't want to deal with the moment with Zadia, or she didn't want to deal with the moment with them ladies. I think that whole question that Egypt opened up about her being betrayed really touched her, and she didn't want to deal with that. To be honest, because if you really look in her face in that moment, she was really fighting back some tears. So all the extra blow up is not necessarily for the fact of any of these ladies on the stage. The blow up is because I have heard from other women in my past doing some effed up stuff to me. Now I got to sit up here with some more women I don't really care about. And here they go, and they talking, because if you watch all that clip, the whole time they're addressing everything else, everybody's laughing with Zadia doing this. Charisse is frowned up the whole time. She's on 10 the whole time. She's on ready. She was never going to be able to come into this battle any other way other than swinging and fighting her way out, because that's what she was ready to do when she came in there. She wasn't ready to be pleasant and polite with anything. She was forcing a lot of smiles because Zadia asks her. She gets on her nerves. And that's what Sharice's biggest downfall. And so it's like when we're highlighting the fact that Sharice is sitting here bringing people in, it's because your biggest crutch is you have so much disdain for one person that you got to constantly go at them so hard that you got to bring everybody in your vicinity in on the situation to try to prove your point. And then when it backfires on you, now it's a problem. Let that go. You got to let that energy go. That's why most of us agree with, we wouldn't even be up on this in that position with these people up here, because most of us would have ignored her. While she talking, I'd have probably just walked off the stage, go get me some water, come back. Oh, you still going? Okay. And that's why I agree backstage with you about Sharice being too daggone real. It's a detriment to herself because she don't have a poker face. She can't play these games that Zadia is playing. Zadia playing the pleasantry game in front of everybody. No, none of us fall for the bullshit that Zadia got going on. We know it. But that BS draws out Sharice every single time because Sharice is so bothered by her. And that's what she got to work on. Is not letting people bother her to a point that she messes up her own game. And now trying to fix everything is blowing up and having to walk off stage. Just let it ride out. She'll get caught by her own lies. Let her be. You ain't got to sit here and be the vigilante every single time. You ain't got to correct everybody every time they make they wrong. You ain't got to be the one who holds them accountable and do all that stuff. Because when it comes back to you and being held accountable, what you turn to do? Play that game, try to say a little lie. I didn't kiss him. I mean, we didn't kiss on the mouth. But everybody in Miami kiss. So where y'all kissing at? Don't fall down to her level. That's all we say about Sharice. Just don't stoop to the level. Just move on.
I think that's a great Grace. Sean, did you want to respond to anything? Sorry, my bad, bro. No? Well, you know you are our kingmaker. You are our deacon who summarized as well. I'm sure we'll be behind the scenes anyway talking. So, Deacon, if you could summarize today as you please, we'd appreciate you before we head into 2024 on the American side.
Yes. So listen, I will, direct us to one of my favorite songs by Kanye West, The Blame Game. And Jay remembers a moment where we played that in Atlanta and it highlighted a conversation that we were having. And I think we do this too often. And I think tonight proved it to a certain extent, right? We shouldn't play the blame game in our relationships, but we should seek to understand. And I think what truly happens when we seek to try to understand one another is we allow each other to communicate, right? And we listen with our 2 ears and allow ourselves to really process and empathize with one another. And I think that's how we get to better relationships. That's how we get to better communication, is when we not just vocalize, but we listen and comprehend what the other party is saying. I think we also need to, walk in each other's shoes, right? So sometimes you have to put on some unfamiliar shoes to yourself to get to know a little bit of somebody else's struggle. And that will allow you to get a glimpse into what their life is. Doesn't make them right, doesn't make you wrong, but it makes you understanding. And I think ultimately, and I'll spin it back to, where the heart of our channel comes from, and it is in Christ, right? Because the grace that God gives us, right, it is unmerited. The favor that we get is unmerited, and we do not deserve it. Many of us wouldn't be here, including myself, if not for his favor and his mercy. So I think sometimes let's exercise that grace and mercy, not just with the ones that we like, but with the ones that we don't like. And I'll turn that back to you, Coach.
Appreciate that, Sean. Thank you very much for the benediction as well. Audience, thank you for joining us today. It was a tussle in the last hour and a bit, But you know what? That's what makes life interesting. You know, we like to have sensible tussles around here and have some fun. Don't think we're taking it too seriously. We tussle like this behind the scenes. It's just a debate of spirited contest, you know, and many people have passionate views as well. So I've appreciated the back and forth. I didn't even realize I called you a liar, Sean, so I apologize. I shouldn't have called you a liar, so I apologize, bro. I didn't even realize I did that, so, you know, I apologize for that, bro. But again, audience, thank you for joining us. A happy new year. We're going to 2024, and we hope to have an even better year than we did in 2023. So like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notifications of uploads. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked, loaded. Listen, we don't want to see you sliding down no walls, okay? All right? So, you know, this one here, we're going to lead us in 2023, okay? We don't want you to be here, okay? We don't want you to be here. All right? Yeah, we appreciate it, guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again.